WEFM is SVG.
Ten 30 here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You're locked on to WEFM 99.9 Clean Fresh Sound, and this is your It's Your Turn program. Remember, It's Your Turn is an interactive program, so the numbers to call are 457 9997 if you're calling from a local landline, 532 9997 if you're calling from a digital cell phone, and you can also send us a message or call us on WhatsApp at 457 9997. The It's Your Turn program is being hosted by Mr. Cecil Ryan, Mr. Philbert, and Mr. Joel Providence. Good morning to you, Cecil.
Good morning to you, Karen, and good morning to Philbert, and good morning to Joel, and good morning to all our listeners on the various platforms, certainly here at WEFM, the Clean Fresh Sound, and of course, Star Radio, Star FM, and California Radio. It's good to be with you another Sunday morning. Not a very happy week for us, but we're here nonetheless. But let me introduce Pijan to give greetings. Pijan.
Thank you, Cecil, and good morning. Good morning, Joel, Kiran. Good morning to all of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and to all persons listening to WEFM wherever you are, in neighboring territories, in the wider diaspora. Good morning. And it's good to be back on another edition of It's Your Turn. And as usual, you can expect an interesting discussion from us this morning. Well, tinged with a bit of sadness, but nevertheless, we move on. I now hand you over to my former teacher to keep remembering that. I think he was 23 years old at the time.
Yeah,
When he taught me.
yes. Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, Pijan. Good morning, Cecil, Kieran. Good morning, St. Vincent and Grenadines. This is, I'd be stumped for words from time to time during the course of this program. I trust that I'll be able to play my role in making sure that it's another program that delivers good information, good analysis, and the truth about life in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the wider Caribbean. There are lots of things to talk about, and I would like to make some preliminary comments at some point, but I'll struggle here and there, but as it is, Cecil, life is like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, just to let our listeners know that the Prime Minister will be joining us sometime soon. He's coming to talk about the outcome from CARICOM Summit and some current national issues. So we'll be joining us shortly. But in the meantime, we're here, and as you might have picked up from us, not the best of times. In that, even as we're speaking to you now, we're mourning the passing of our good friend, colleague, comrade, our good friend Bentley Brown. He passed just last week, sorry. And we obviously are mourning his passing. We intend to do a full tribute next week, Sunday. The second half of the program will be devoted to looking at Bentley's contribution to St. Vincent and the Grenadines development, and to us, in terms of our interaction with Bentley over the years. So we will be having that kind of tribute. In the meantime, we really want to express regrets on his passing to his loved ones, particularly his immediate family. But we would say a lot more next week, Sunday, in the second half of our program next week, Sunday. Pijan, I don't know if you want to say anything.
No,
Wait.
joined you in expressing
Okay. Well, Joel, any
sympathy.
preliminary? It's up to you.
Well, the carnival is over.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice. I remember the Kitchener had a calypso with on that theme and so forth. I think that was the name of his song, and it would perhaps be appropriate. The beat and the mood and everything is perhaps more than ever appropriate. And I know that persons would have been commenting on a number of things that they felt good about in terms of the carnival, and not so good. I did not participate as much as I would have wanted to. This carnival, perhaps the first in my adult life, while being in cinemas and living in cinemas, because I missed about 2 or 3 carnivals during the fact of being overseas at the time. But I just wanted to maybe just point out 1 or 2 things and see how I felt about what I saw and what I heard. I thought that overall that the carnival was quite good, and commendations must go out to the organizers of the festival, the participants, and persons who had anything to do with contributing to the carnival, including the revelers, and those who came to town, whether it's for Juve or so on, as the chief of police reported that it was pretty much incident free until the day after carnival. Then we had, but it's for the carnival itself, the 10 or 11 days that it was well received. Everyone played their part to a significant degree, and I think that persons can limit to that Vinci Mass 2025 was a good one. I just wanted to say, however, that then I am the type of person who like to say, just don't say, okay, we say a good thing, let's rest on our laurels and say, okay, we'll repeat. You always have to look for ways of things to improve upon and things to do differently and better and so on. I don't know about the financial details because I don't know about the takings and so on. We don't, and hopefully that the CDC would present some numbers to us, and as well as the number of persons who went through the turnstiles, like how many persons attended the like say Soca Monarch or attended the pan shows and so on. Let us say the numbers. I think it's very important, and let's not leave it to speculation. We have thousands of experts in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who can tell you exactly to the nearest person how many persons attended a particular event. And, the same person seeing the same crowd, one person might say it is 5,000, another person might say it's 15,000. So I think it's important to know what's happening. The other thing to that is that the carnival itself is changing locally and changing regionally. And I think that we are seeking to come to terms with this reality. I just wanted to make, from where I sit or where I stand or where I walk, a couple of things that I would like to see changed. Firstly, I think that we would like to work closer with the so-called components of Carnival and work with them to help them make something or do something better, improve upon their content and their production, because I think that there's still work to be done, both in terms of the artistry and the creativity of the mass designer, and also of the composers of songs. Although you can say that, like in the calypso, I thought that when you looked at the music, the songs rendered by first, second, third, fourth, and so forth, those who placed in the top 4 or 5, you could, they were all good, decent material, and that's quite. I'm glad to hear that with the quality. In my own judgment, I thought that. Well, let me not say who I thought was, right? But I just say that I'm reasonably happy with the results of the position of the judges. So I'm quite comfortable with that. In terms of the soca monarch, again, there's an expectation. I don't have any major problems again with the judging there, but I think while we have 4, 5, or 6 songs of good quality that can represent us outside, I think I had a problem like on the Carnival Tuesday. Just waiting. I didn't feel that the music on the road, the tempo and so on, you're just waiting to hear 1 or 2 songs, specifically because the majority of the songs, to my mind, played on the road on the Carnival Tuesday. It was not at the caliber and the kind of providing the entertainment value that we might have had 20 years ago or 18 years ago or something of the sort. So I'm just making that comment so that we need we need content of quality, not just 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, but we need, if we're having 300 songs being produced, I think we need to have at least 150, 100 songs of a particular quality that can represent. So I did not enjoy, apart from my own personal reflections, but I did not really enjoy the music on the road on the Carnival Tuesday so much this year, because I didn't think that we had sufficient roadworthy songs that would truly entertain the person. But then I'm speaking from my position. Someone else would say, well, hey, you're wrong. And that's fine, because I mean, it's all subjective, and that is all fine. I'm just making that comment. The other comment that I wanted to quickly make is that there is we need to be able to control the procession of the bands on the road on a Carnival Tuesday, especially in the post Victoria Park, especially in the afternoon and so on. Sometimes you have visitors or in town, and then you have to sit on or stand up on back street, anyway, Grenville, Halifax, or wherever, and so on, and waiting for next band to pass by, and then by which time that sometimes the bands would have been broken up and so forth. And I think that we have to be able to marshal, and I'm using the word marshal literally and figuratively, be able to marshal the procession of the bands, because that is how there's the culmination of our carnival, and that is how we need to be able to ensure that persons can still see something and say that this is representative of Vincy Mass and so forth. And there must be long gaps in between one band and another, and people just standing on the sidewalk just waiting to see if anything is in town. That's one. The other thing too is that there may be persons who may want to get a different feel of Vincy Mass, and it doesn't necessarily have to take place in Kingstown. This is at 5:30, 6 p.m. I'm just saying to myself on Tuesday gone that I would have loved to have been at St. Anna's Vale, where I could sit and listen to some good pan music, or some of the some good traditional calypso, something of the sort. So there's an alternative, because there will be persons who say they don't want to be in Kingstown and so forth. But it's what we have. It's our Mardi Gras. It's the culmination. But at the same time, we have lots of people coming into the country, and we want an alternative thing for that. So I just say on that, I saw the effort, the impact, the difference in terms of the quality of the venues and what was done in terms of to put on the venues and so on. I don't have an appreciation yet of the return on investment. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult from a business standpoint to think that you're going to spend a good bit of money on preparing a venue, and then you have to take it back down almost, a couple of hours on the conclusion of a particular event. If that the money spent and the quality of presentation and so on is thing that you should be of the venue, is that it should be around for as much of the season as possible. And the last comment that I wanted to make is that we have persons spending, last comment for now, persons spending money on portrayals for the individual costumes, king and queen of the bands and so forth. And you have they are presenting these costumes at Sunday night into Monday morning when very few persons in Victoria Park. The persons would have left. The park is pretty much empty. And you have these 22 costumes and so forth that persons don't get to see. They may get to see some of it on the Carnival Tuesday, and it is not quite the same. And I think that if we're going to create these costumes, spend money to create them, and so forth, then we have to be able to find a way in which these costumes could survive a little bit long beyond Carnival Tuesday afternoon. And we should be able to have some place even for an extended week or so, where even the visitors, they may want to go and walk, and it becomes like an exhibition of the costume, an exhibition of what was good about our carnival, and maybe this is something that should be considered. Don't just mash up and leave mash up. Just let's see how we can extend the life and the value of these costumes beyond the Carnival Tuesday, bearing in mind that other than what you see in the newspapers, and thank God that we have the newspapers, that many persons would not have seen the king and queen of the bands and so forth. So I say on that, I'd say in conclusion, I would basically say that I think that it was a good carnival. The content of the top artists is quite good. But I think we just have to be able to broaden the capacity of Vincentians to deliver music so we can say, well, this represents us internationally, because not too many of our artists and not too many of our songs make it regionally and internationally. I see the Grenada has surged forward beyond us. After Trinidad at one time, it was St. Vincent that produced the kind of music through the Cecils and Beckett's and so forth. But see, St. Lucia is knocking on the door and so on. And we still have like Skinny Fabulous and Problem Child and a couple others out there. But by and large, we have the quality, we have the capacity to show a much broader front to the world as to what we have. And we just have to be able to make sure that we can get that done. But all said and done, I think that it was a good Vinci Mass.
Mm-hmm. Well, Prime Minister is already in studio with us, but just before I introduce Prime Minister, I just want to also acknowledge the passing of Dean Smith and express condolence to his surviving ones.
Ulrich Smith.
Yes. And I'm saying so mainly because he used to listen to this program regularly. I never said it, but whenever I've met his wife, Dawn Smith, she would tell me that they listen, and in fact, she would also rebuke me on certain things and correct me. And if she's listening this morning, I just want to express condolence on the passing of her husband. Also, just to note as well that very noted mechanic, engineer, if you like, Dennis Joyette. He passed about a week and a half ago or thereabout. So just to express condolences to that one. And who else? There are a few other folks we know of who passed. So yes, and that's it's I don't want to introduce PM in a sad note. I'm the show is going to come in today. But Pigeon, I see you featured in Old Mass.
So I heard.
you and Johnny P, two urinators on radio.
Okay.
P. John and Johnny P.
Wonderful P. John.
Yeah.
Good to see Aubrey Borkin.
And they call that good P. Kong.
So, Prime Minister, welcome.
Well,
welcome
I'm happy
back.
to be here as always, and Cecil and P. John and Joel and all our listeners. I was overseas at the CARICOM Heads meeting when I heard of the passing of Dean Smith.
Yeah.
And I naturally got in touch immediately with Dawn. Dawn, as you know, is from Connery.
Right, of course.
Connery Bellevue. And she is the Governor General's deputy and in her own right, a fantastic businesswoman and caterer. Mm-hmm. But Father Smith Dean Smith, he did remarkable work in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And he was a holy man, a man who, a traditional Anglican preacher and priest, and in the sense steeped in test and tried Anglicanism in the Caribbean, but something which people didn't know much about him was his extraordinary support for the Anglican Youth Fellowship Organization. The humble African Frederick Augustus Stevenson was reminding me about that when we were talking about him when we were together in Jamaica. I'm sure there will be a great turnout by people, not just the Anglican community, but people who recognize his holiness and his immense contribution to our society.
This Wednesday,
I think, is the funeral. And Joyet, well, the dean of motor mechanics, body workmen, and so on, and he also took on a lot of young people to train them, and they would go and set up their own businesses and so forth, migrate overseas, carry their skills with them. A good man.
Yeah. So, Prime Minister, I remember when you last were in touch with the program here, you were anxious to find out about the CPA 7.
Yes. I got
what news you have for us?
I'm glad you've raised that. These relate to 7 students who were involved in the school-based exams, but assessments, but who didn't take the examinations. And I wanted to know what happened to these 7. Every year you have that happening, a few. And I always seek to inquire. And you remember when I said on the radio with you, I don't know if Joel was here the last time when I called, and I said, I'd like to know whether any of them was not well, whether any had migrated, were there any special circumstances. In this case, 4 of the 7 migrated between the time of completing their SBAs, the school-based assessments, and the examination. And 2 of them actually were registered twice. 2 from the Southern Grenadines. They were registered to write the exam from a school in the Southern Grenadines, but they actually came up, and one was in North Leeward and one in Central Leeward. So they attended a school in those areas and wrote the exams from those locales. Okay. So that accounted for those 2. And one is a difficult case which the counselors are addressing. So, because people are, as you know, people are always very excited about the top 10, and I am too. But I'm also excited. Well, I'm also very interested in what happens to all our students. And if you have 7 who didn't write the exams, I want to know why. But these are the answers. If you have 1,679 persons registered to write the exam, and you have 7 who didn't show up, you'd always expect to get out of that number, because we are such a migrant society. Families taking them different places, Tortola, maybe reunite with family in America or wherever. And sometimes when the papers come through, they come through at an inconvenient time now, and when they have to move. And that's not unusual. And families make their own individual decisions in relation to their children. And that is what happened there, 4 out of the 7.
PM, hope you don't mind. Jules is reminding me to mention the passing of Bentley Brown, but actually I did at the beginning of the program,
Yes.
and I also said that next week's program, the latter half of the program would be paying tribute
To Bentley.
to Bentley.
Well,
So-
again, when I was overseas, I was advised of his passing, and I got in touch with Benava immediately. Benava had been keeping me up to date
Yes.
as to what was happening. Bentley was a very progressive, highly acclaimed professional, not only here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but across the region. And the people at the OECS know the high quality of his work when he worked there with them. A man of great sensitivity to the poor and the working people, and always put their advancement at the center of his own professional work. He mild-mannered, considerate, always interested in helping. We're not going to have many like Bentley passing this road again. He was just simply an exceptional human being. I loved him very much.
The views are in, PM, and when you came in, Joel was going over doing a kind of little review of Vincy Mas 2025. But the views are in. Generally, Vincy Mas for 2025 has been a wonderful success story.
That's unfortunately I wasn't here from the Saturday, but I've been following it because CARICOM this year was on that exact weekend. Sometimes it's a little before or a little after, but in this time it coincided totally because I had to reach the Jamaica for the Sunday when they had the opening, and they had the Monday and the Tuesday. But I had to leave on the Saturday in order to get on the Sunday because I had to overnight in Miami. That's how transportation is these days. You know, in years gone by, you'd have had a direct flight from Barbados to Jamaica, or indeed Trinidad, so I can go down and catch it. But that wasn't possible on this occasion. I was advised, so I had to go to Miami and then go north to come south. The persons who go north to go to St. Kitts, you know, and to Antigua, it's amazing. But I had to joke in my press conference. I congratulated everybody, and I don't want to repeat what I said then. But I joked that Ralph won the Calypso competition because Madsad, had on my shirt and was dancing the comrade skank. I saw a video, and I said that I'm pretty sure that and I believe this would have happened, that his leader Friday, Lorraine Friday, would have said to him, well, since you won the competition with the comrade skank, you have to teach me to see if I could dance this, to see if I could repeat that in the contest, which is coming later in the general elections. But I listen to Calypsos. They're pretty good quality. And of course, you would always have controversies, but I think overall that overwhelmingly, people have given good reports on it and about the leadership of the CDC and the innovative work they have been doing. Well, as all of us know, you can't bemoan that that people are gravitating towards the so-called all-inclusive feds. And you can't use any big stick to commandeer attendance at park when there's a clash. You just have to have good shows, quality shows, properly produced, in order to have people to come to the park and then go to the all-inclusives.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. So the CDC Act doesn't have a big stick in it. The CDC Act has certain powers granted to the CDC, but not to wield a big stick in the way sometimes you'll hear people talk. I happen to know this very well because I was intimately involved in the actual drafting of that law, because you have to have an intricate balance between what is directed by the CDC and what is done by people. I mean, after all, Kitchener said it, the road make to walk on Carnival Day. Then you apply that metaphor across the board. That's the situation.
Although these days, in my case, I wanted to walk somewhere else or to be somewhere else at one point when I didn't see the costumes coming, the bands with the frequency that I thought.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. You have to have the show produced in a way that people, carnival lovers like yourself, Joel, want to see a professional show.
And the St. Lucia option came up for consideration, and I know collaboration was key issue in the meetings of the CDC. Collaboration between the private promoters and so on was key, and I think they had some discussions. But I think that has to continue.
Absolutely.
Make sure that there's an accommodation. The St. Lucia option is not necessarily one that I would favor, where they took the so-called park shows and had them presented a week before, and then the final weekend was virtually for the FET and the private and so forth. And you don't want that.
I will have to give a lot of thought to that, and people will have to persuade me about that.
Yes.
But I want to say this: when there are criticisms by sometimes done, and particularly in this season, between now and when the elections are called later this year, almost everything is tainted with some partisan political considerations. But we have to avoid that with big national events, because there are some things which are, though politics would infuse them, even at the margin, in a fundamental sense, they transcend politics. Carnival transcends politics. You see it on the streets. So that when person said in advance that, is a ULP man going to win the Calypso competition, I don't even know who the judges. We don't have anything to do with the judges. As people in this business know, the Calypsonians Association, they have the major influence, as I've been advised, in choosing the judges. I don't know if you've ever been a judge of Calypso. And I believe this is the case, Joel. You can speak more authoritatively about that than I can. But we have moved over the last 25 years in such a major way in modernizing and professionalizing Carnival. You recall, Joel, the days when Panel Campbell was Minister of Culture. On this Saturday, P. John, you go wrong park, you see Panel with a hammer. They're trying to knock up the stage. Or it was a Friday or whatever day when you're starting to have on these events. Remember they used to put up is a board stage and you dismantle it.
And you store it in the back of CDC.
Well, it's lumber. You can't store the lumber. The lumber will disappear. No. Then we had a stage. Shortly after we came into office, we bought a stage.
That would be the second stage because I was involved in the purchase of the first one.
Yeah.
In 1984.
Okay. But then that went into disuse.
It was partially used, but it needed to be replaced.
Yeah.
It was a modular stage, and
Yes.
the pieces had to be changed and so on. And they bought another one.
But
A better one.
we bought, and then subsequently, we said we need even a much better stage than that, something highly professional, the lights and all the rest of it,
Canopy.
the canopy and all these things. Then the steel band for 4 years or so before we came to office, there was no panorama, because you remember you had Vinlec Potential, you had Starlift naturally. And Cyanide Euphonium were without pans. The pans had deteriorated. We Fantasia of Edinburgh had closed. And one of the things which we did in the first year, I remember it well, and Dougie knows maybe listening. He was the head of the Yulupan movement. And he came by me one evening, and I called Morris Edwards, who was the Director General of Finance and Planning, and he said he wants pans for Cyan Hill Euphonium, and he wants for this group of young people who used to play with Girls High School and some others, Eurythmics. And it was $65,000. And I approved it. He said, well, that just happened. So I said, yeah, we're going to get. And the next year, we had 3 pan sides in 2002. It was too early for us to do it in 2001 after we came to office, the end of March. It was Starlift, Cyan Hill Euphonium, and Eurythmics. Gray, with Vinlec Potential, had decided that he wasn't going to participate. He had other theories and ideas. and the thing grew until we are where we are now, with community bands, a large number of other bands, school bands. We had the Petro-Carib initiative, Pan Against Crime came in, and so on and so forth. And this, which was dying, came alive. The same thing about Carnival and the dancing, for instance. All the schools have dancing programs, more or less now. So that we see what has happened with mass. CDC itself, for decades, people were talking about having a permanent establishment called the CDC, as distinct from
the committee,
a committee which only came together at Carnival time. And very early in our administration, we put that in place, and so on and so forth. And then the lottery, the funding by the lottery. We had to modernize the lottery, where you had the lottery with revenues of just under $10 million when we arrived. It's 90-something million now, of course. $80 million or so go for prize money and administration and all the rest of it, because there's a lot of prize money. But there's a significant amount of money available for sports and culture, including Carnival. So public policy is also very important. It's critical, Joel. Sensible public policy in advancing the framework for a national festival. The organization of it internally is left to those like the CDC and the components themselves. And sometimes the components want to be very protective of their own turf, They don't like to have incursions on their turf. I remember, I'm not going to talk about anything this year because I noticed there was one which was quickly corrected. I remember one year when Cecil was Minister of Tourism, and there was a group of Vincentians who wanted to do a band, predominantly with Bajans and Trinidadians and St. Lucians and Grenadians and so forth, including Vincentians too. And they said, well, a band like this can't be judged. Can't come on the road, sorry. I said, I mean, the band can't come on the road. What authority do you have to stop a band? Not CES, the people who were involved in CDC, who were under pressure by people who normally play the march. You can say, CDC can say that they're not judging a particular band for this or that reason. But you can't stop people coming on the road. The only people who can stop you coming on the road is the commissioner of police. If there's a security issue at hand. You know what I mean, Joel? So, but these are all things which get shaken down in the wash, so to speak. But sensible public policies are critical in advancing Carnival.
I want you to comment on something that is related, and you mentioned Cecil Mackey as the Minister of Tourism. It just so happens that culture is still linked with tourism. At one point, we were struggling. Well, the hotels and the hoteliers, you say, well, they didn't benefit from Carnival, and they're not going to put anything into give anything to the CDC and so on. But this year, we've had a situation where the hotels were full, and they were booked out along in advance. But not only the hotels, the so-called guest houses, the so-called Airbnbs and so on. And that 2026 has already received a fair share of bookings and so forth.
Absolutely.
So there's a link. And now there's the economic benefit as well to the tourism sector, and of course the spread and so on. I don't know if you want to first of all make a comment on the tourism impact, the impact on tourism that Carnival has, and then if you can expand that to the economic impact overall of Carnival.
It's growing tremendously. First of all, you used to have, for Carnival, the bulk of the tourists coming by way of, the bulk of the Carnival lovers coming by way of Liat, from Trinidad and Barbados and so forth. And of course, Vincentians who were interested in coming home, though they had to have a long layover in Trinidad and in Barbados, and many people are very frustrated about that. Remember, can't get the bags, and you remember, Liat has to charter a separate plane to bring all the luggage 2 days after, and it irritated people, naturally. Now, people who are coming from North America and Canada are now coming direct. And more of them are coming. And more of them are coming with more money. And as you see it with what is happening in the hotels, the quality of the hotels improving, so on and so forth. Airbnb, by and large, the Airbnb establishments, quote unquote, getting a free ride because they ain't paying any of the requisite levies or taxes and so on and so forth. But that's a matter which, in all countries, as it expands, people get to deal with it by going to Airbnb itself. And I mean, talking about government. So that's and I don't think that anybody would complain about they having to make a contribution. You don't want to just eat off the fat of the land, so to speak. I think most people, even those who operate in Airbnb, would say just like to have the proper process and everything like that. I feel so. Some of course would balk, but that's the nature of life and living. But I would say that I haven't seen a computation by the Ministry of Finance. And, you know, it's always very difficult to have an assessment of the impact. And you have to be careful not to overestimate it, but at the same time, not to underestimate it. But anecdotally, it seems to have had a big lift.
Yeah.
And in this regard, it comes within a context where there is, for the last 4 years, since the COVID, volcanic eruptions, Hurricane Elsa, that we have seen a significant uptick in the economy. Increased wages and salaries, more jobs, increase wealth, generally speaking. Remittances. And we have seen from 2022 to now, to 2025, 22, 23, 24, now 25, that the economy has grown in the aggregate by more than 20%, more than 1/5, and we're using the nominal numbers. And that's significant. In fact, other than Guyana, in CARICOM, which has a very special situation now, coming from a low base with tremendous oil revenues. And people are commenting about how the economy is going. What we have to make sure is that people everybody gets a share out of the pie, that the growth is sufficiently inclusive. This is why when people complain that some people complain, you're spending too much of my tax dollars on poor people with their housing and this burial money which you're giving out. It's over a year now, and you're still giving out burial money. Unless they increase real economic growth finds a manifestation throughout the whole society, you're going to have problems. And that's the history of the world. That's the history of our region. And in this particular case, persons who are directly affected by burial. Take, for instance, so this year alone, Joel, just going through the $600 a month, which head of households get who are directly affected by burial, $600 a month. By the end of August, because we first of all said we'll go see how 3 months do, then we carry it to 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Seems as though we're going to be able to take it to the end of August. It would be in excess of $30 billion. That item alone. When I talk about money last year, for income support, similar support from other pots, for farmers, for fishers. And farmers and fishers are also getting those who had not yet gotten, who some persons, quote unquote, slipped through the cracks. When we paid before Christmas, over 12,000 farmers, farm workers, fishers, fisher folk in general, you're likely to have had some who didn't make the cut then. And some people didn't supply the information, the bureaucracy dealing with it. It's not a perfect science. They're double checking to see people double dipping, that kind of thing, Joel.
Yeah, like public assistance.
Separate on that.
So you can get $600 if you're affected by burial, and then you can get, say, $300.
Yeah. Or public assistance. And that has been happening. But you had to, if you're head of the household.
Yes.
And some persons could also get income support if they're farmer or farm worker, and that's why you have to be careful that you don't double dip on that side to the income support. That's why it takes a little bit more time. And sometimes some persons are left off in this process of checking, and sometimes the responses of people too. In providing the information, sometimes you don't get the accurate information. And all that is separate and distinct from assistance, the dozens of millions of dollars going into housing to support the housing program, and similarly for production support as distinct from income support for farmers and fishers. So the carnival itself has a very interesting way of creating a lot of income for some persons, but also redistributing income. Because if you have a lot of people who are involved in it, a lot of people have to do a lot of work. And a lot of people get engaged in this industry called carnival. So it involves some distribution there. But the people who are, from what I've been advised, making the killing, metaphorically, are those who have in the all-inclusives. And it's difficult for the government to get its fair share of taxes on that, because a lot of it, people are paying online from overseas. Of course, the taxman can do a best of judgment assessment and come inside. If a fella, there are guys last year would have 6,000-7,000 people at an event, or 5,000 or 4,000, and report that they sold tickets of 500. Well, you might have sold 500 tickets locally or 1,000 tickets locally, but that is not really what you sell. But those are administrative matters for the tax people, not for me. I view all of these things, I watch them. But you raise the question, there may be many different dimensions, but surely, and again, here's where public policy comes. I went out the Wednesday because I wasn't going to be here for the carnival weekend. I made sure that I took time off on cabinet on the Wednesday immediately before the big carnival weekend. I went to the airport during the period when you have from 1 something until 4.
Right.
4 or 5 flights, maybe 6 of them. So I met a lot of people coming in. You might have seen some of it on social media and the like. Meeting people, greeting them. There's some people I meet and greet, I didn't even know that they had migrated, because we are a migrant people. And the airport certainly is part of this infrastructure in terms of public policy.
Need more space.
Well, yes. Well, down to yesterday, I had a discussion with this chief executive officer of the AIA, Ms. Graves, and we had a group come down from the UK to see if they can recommend. They've done it in other places, some temporary fixes while we do some more permanent expansions. And they're to submit a report. But the AIA itself had individuals within St. Vincent, including Olivier, who had been with AIA from the International Airport Development Company from the beginning, civil engineer.
Romel.
Yeah. And they have a particular plan too. So things are coming together with that in relation to for the expansion. It's incredible. It's a nice problem to have.
It's a nice problem to have. But you're dealing with the constraint of space. But there's also the issue of time and space. Something you have to measure that. And we partially solve the problem if we could go back and renegotiate with the airlines. Say, well, okay, bring in, instead of 230, why not?
Well, they're talking about that, but it's not always easy.
It's not easy, but I'm just saying.
But there are things within our own control which you would have seen improvements on. For instance, again, public policy. The immigration lines move fast. If you're at the airport anytime and you watch it, because you have 12 kiosks. You used to have 6 or 7 immigration officers. Now you have, I think, 10 of them, maybe 11 of them. Anyway, they're spread. So you have more officers. And because people don't have to fill out this form and you have to check through the form, the electronic system makes it easier. I was very happy when I went out there the day. And she didn't know I was coming out. And I was pleased to see that she was hand on. The chief immigration officer was there before the rush started. I went out there. And I think she also probably I don't know if she goes out there on particular days from time to time to see how staff go in.
I understand that she does.
And dealing with it. But I myself saw that that day. And then they have additional staff now in the area for the baggage handler, where the carousel comes around. And if a lot of bags on the thing, some will drop off. Well, that happens in Barbados, happens in London, it happens everywhere. But they have some designated personnel who will take them and put them, rather than just falling off and lying there and it looks crazy. Put them in an order now so that people can pick up their bags easily. So between when they come off the plane, go through immigration when they arrive in that area. And then the other potential bottleneck, and I've spoken to the Comptroller of Customs, and I've observed that the Wednesday when I was there, they didn't know I was coming wrong by the customs side. But I saw the customs, I saw it moving with much smoothness and quickness. Because we have an advanced passenger information system, which we're hoping to strengthen with an upgrade generally in relation to coordination of regional security. Within by the time the plane takes off, within 20 minutes, that list would have gone through the security ringer, through the information systems which we have, and with other agencies with which we collaborate to know if there's a bad boy or girl coming in on the plane now, and the level of risk attendant upon such a person. Because customs, like everything else with security, you have to deal with the handling of risks.
And then on the outside, when you get past customs, you still have the whole collection, pickup, and
yes, you have that.
Still a little bit of a challenge.
Well, that is the airport. I know AIA is working with the Taxi Association. And the people out there. So you have. I've observed it, and I think it's smoother, more orderly. But even the private sector, the taxi operators get snowed under with the volume. And sometimes too, people are waiting, not for taxis, but for their relatives, their friend, and who are delayed. And many of them on the side there with their bags waiting. I've seen some people, I asked them, I say, but I went in half an hour ago, what's happened? So they're waiting on the friend hasn't come yet, and so on and so forth. So some of those things, again, you can improve, but you can't plan to obviate completely because of all these other factors over which you do not have any control.
Some airports, I know at Kennedy, for example, you can have the Uber, what you call them, the ride share, and so forth. So you take an Uber, you go across, and you go. So Uber's over there, taxis are here, and then you have a family pickup. You have different spots.
Yes,
now
that's
I know
true.
that there's a limitation of space. But
that's true.
Certainly consideration.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah, on the question, well, we have basically exhausted the discussion on on the Vinci Mass. But I want to.
But I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
People talk about Vinci Mass and people talk about Christmas as the huge national events. But I always remind everybody else that there is no event in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which is larger than the first day when people are attending preschool, primary school, secondary school. On that day, because you have, between those numbers, you have 30,000 students. And usually on the first day, parents want to drop off their children and be with them. So the numbers increase phenomenally. And then the minibus men who are operating in this, men and women who are operating in this. And on that day, and I always remind everybody, we do not have, even though we have police making their wrongs and everything, we do not have a problem. Like in some countries in the Caribbean, when those days are serious days of security risks and actually some bad things happen, that we are a functioning, civilized society where people, because the best orderliness is people themselves and their families. So I happen, if you're not involved in the business and you don't think about it, the business of education or being in the role which I have, people tend not to think about that day, but that day is bigger, in my view, than any days which come in for Christmas, any days which come in for Carnival. In fact, the preparation for that day, they said a few days before, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, before the school opens on the Monday, you normally see what happens around Jacks.
If P. John and Cecil would allow me, I just want to say that the preparation for that day has started already.
Absolutely.
And just someone in my position, for example, I just already committed to spend over $2,000 buying school books. And then there's a line, like go by Games Bookstore in Paul's Lot. You have to line up outside and there's a process. And so it's all of this leading up to that
Absolutely.
day.
But Joel, you would agree with me that day, you have a larger crowd moving in the country than anything happening on any carnival event.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because what people may not observe, that the carnival event, everything is in Kingstown.
Yes, but this one is decentralized.
Yes.
Over 26 secondary schools and 60 odd primary schools.
As we conclude, as we round up the carnival discussion, Prime Minister, and somebody mentioned controversy earlier on in this discussion, and the people are generally saying, PM, only listen to this, people saying that they should have been road badge.
You know what I mean, my boy? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. You're not hearing it. Yeah,
No,
yes.
sorry.
No, I'm saying people are saying that this tune should have been the road match, and it's getting a lot of views on social
You know what I
media.
mean?
I just want you to respond.
Sweetest at a junk does free. Come in the party, it take me about 50 seconds before me could spot me friend. He alone had a bottle of petrol, asking if me depend it. Always asking me stupidness. Mary had a little and my mommy had a rum dog. Come like 10 power go up with the glass. The alcohol of me moving dog. 84.5, but them kind of speed it does make you crash. I could give a tutorial how to handle it if the rum was cast. 750 ml of a V6, the family size overcharged. Hello, shadow your brakes. You must think I'm a little boy. I will go ahead. I say nobody could stop this arcade. Them no say me fully done. So outside with me jiggy friend a junk. I just take another shot. So you know me active. I jam in another girl. I say nobody could stop this, okay. Nobody could stop this, okay. Nobody could stop this, okay. I have a red button, no, make me push it.
So
Well,
I don't know what
every year, if you don't have a controversy arising out of something in Carnival, it is not Carnival. So,
I was wondering if you have any inference. You see, he has a red button. Don't make him push it.
these they're always, Cecil, always the different people would have different views on these things.
Okay.
And I listened to it. I'd listened to it more again carefully. It was first time. It's as innovative formulations and so on. It's
And he talked at the beginning. He talked about one hit for 6.
yeah.
So it's all of that. I find intriguing.
But I wouldn't want to take with this thing from Problem Child. But that's why I say I'll never forget Joel. In the first year when Renee was Minister of Culture, 2001, we hadn't yet had the Carnival Development Corporation law passed. And Renee came to me, and Renee said, Ralph, I don't know what I'm going to do. We have had discussions with all the stakeholders, and we agreed on something. Now they want to come and unravel this thing because others are saying this and others are saying that. I said, Renee, just calm down. Everything will come in place. Because what happens, some persons will go representing an organization. They express a particular view. They come out of that meeting and they just pass by the library somewhere downtown and they talk to 3-4 other persons. And they say, well, this is what we're going to do. And they say, no, you can't do that. You can't do that because we want to do this. Everybody has their own individual views. And I said, usually in these things, and people are boycotting. Over simple things, artistic persons can be, when they're wrapped up in their artistic work, be highly temperamental, It is a universal phenomenon. So you take these things and they're always ironed out because everybody has an interest. Apart from their own specific concerns, seen a wonderful carnival. And we still have that consensus, except for a group of persons who have no interest in carnival, not necessarily those who derive from religious beliefs, who would rather go to the beach. Generally speaking, the bulk of the people in the country, supporting carnival, they want to see something orderly and without violence, and people enjoy themselves. It's a safety valve. People let off steam. Apart from all the cultural dimensions, which bring out people's creativity, and at the end of the day, it's people's ingenuity, their commitment to this festival, and sensible government, sensible public policy, all of them combining.
I've heard you mention in the press conference, Prime Minister, and I've heard Minister James as well, Carlos James, mention and announce that at from the 1st of August, there's going to be a cricket festival.
It's going to run, I think, from the 31st from the eve, Emancipation Anniversary Eve. I have there's going to be an Emancipation Cricket Festival. Really, persons would be arriving from the 30th naturally, and then there'd be an opening, and they will talk about these details. But what I've been given is, and I received a report from the committee at 6:30. Sorry, on Thursday, when we had cabinet. At 6:30 in the evening on the 31st, there's going to be an opening and light show at the Annisvale Cricket Facility. And that evening, we're going to have the first T20 game. And then they're going to be, I've been advised that there are 4 teams which are going to participate. They're going to have some persons, players, regional players, some of them extra regional. It's a tight window because you're going to have the winding down of the Winlot secondary school games. And then there's the Winward competition, cricket competition. So there you have a narrow window to have some things being done. And this is the advantage which we're taking advantage of. We decide as a matter of government policy 3 years ago that every August, well, it was happening before, but we want to carry it at a higher level of quote unquote intensity. You know that during Emancipation Month, we have festivals all about Breadfruit Festival, this festival. Sometimes some of them go into Independence. But the year before burial, that is to say 2023, you may recall we had across the country cultural activities, music, dance, and we had a big free concert in Victoria Park, which had Rodney Small himself had choreographed, had done the production of that, he and his team. And music, song, dance, and so forth, celebrating the anniversary of emancipation of the enslaved African bodies. Last year, because of burial and all what we had to do in relation to burial, there were events, but it was of a lesser intensity. There were commemorations and celebrations. This year, we want to do it with a particular cultural dimension, cultural sporting dimension, a cricket festival, which is something, of course, deeply ingrained in our psyche, in our Caribbean civilization, and the Vincentian component of it. There will, of course, be other cultural things, but a centerpiece. Because let's remember this, from the 22nd, we're going to be gathering in Barbados for Carifesta. And we are sending a contingent. I've given instructions for us to get 50 young persons too, in addition to the cultural contingent, to send to Barbados, because there's going to be a special set of events for young people and so on and so forth. I know some people may say, oh, you're spending money on things which, as one former minister in way back in the 20th century said, you can't eat culture. But that's to have a view which says that you know the price of everything and the value of nothing. And everybody knows the school to which I belong. You have to have an expansive sport and cultural frame to involve everybody, and which redound to a cohesive, integrative, inclusive society. And out of that milieu, you get hidden talents, what I call hidden rationalities, which can be tapped for national development in different areas, including economic development. So we have in this, because I was very disappointed when I heard what very little Cricket West Indies was doing for the commemoration of two seminal cricketing events in our history. And I wrote 2 articles on it. One, the Diamond Jubilee, the 60th anniversary, when we were crowned, quote unquote, the unofficial world champions in Test cricket, when we defeated Australia in 1965 in the home series here, 2-1. I wrote that article sometime after the 17th of May, because the last test concluded on the 17th of May in Trinidad, 1965. We had beaten the 4 big teams at the time, were West Indies, India, Australia, and England. We beat India in 1962 at home 5-0. We went to England and beat them 3-1 in 1963. And Australia came here, and Australia had beaten everybody before, and we beat Australia 2-1. That was the first series when Garfield Sobers captained us. He was 28 years of age at the time. And then in 1975, when we won the first World Cup, on June the 21st, I wrote another article saying, what are we doing? That's the 50th anniversary of the One Day International. And the West Indies, Cricket West Indies, was stung by this criticism and said that they're doing something. And what are they doing? They said that they're having a banquet, and they are giving out in St. Lucia or Grenada, whichever, I think St. Lucia it was. But they tacked this thing on to WEPA, the West Indies Players Association's celebration, their usual award ceremony. Now this thing deserves something large. I will tell you the truth. When I saw this, I had spoken to my sister Mia Motley, and I'd spoken to Irfan Ali of Guyana. I said, listen, the 3 of us can do something together. This thing is an embarrassment. And I said, yeah, we can do something. Of course, the window is so tight. And Irfan is having elections in September the 1st. And Mia has crop over. Couldn't do it before because West Indies cricket is played. The third test is going on all now. So a window which you had to find was this emancipation window. Mia, her crop over is early August.
Same day, August 1.
And then on the 20th, this activity which she's planning for Cairo Festa from the 22nd to the 25th, that's going to consume a lot of time. So, look, somebody in the region, I had to take the name out of people's mouth. And if it falls upon us, Joel, so be it.
Did you speak with the Western CWI regarding collaboration on
No.
hosting the event?
At first, I wrote these articles, and it's after I wrote the articles that people began to ask Cricket West Indies. They say, "Oh no, don't bother on that. We were we had it on our website that we're going to have a dinner and give out some awards, and they just tacked this thing on to WEPA. I didn't check to see whether that was the situation before. They only say so because I wrote these articles. But I didn't write these articles for us to do something. But their public response was, well, we're doing something. No. You want to tell me two sets of events coalesce between May and June, the 60th anniversary that we became cricket world champions unofficially from the first time we entered Test cricket in 1928. And the first time we won, the inaugural Cricket World Cup, we won the international. We won it 50 years ago. It's the same window, May, June. And cricket has been an instrument for national liberation. You want to tell me that you're going to bureaucratize this thing by just giving a simple award? You need to involve people.
In fact, Prime Minister, I was going to refer to an article by William Kojo and Anthony on page 18 of the Vincentian. He coined it as cricket a liberation tool. Would you?
Absolutely. If you read things which I've written on cricket, and in 2017 I delivered a speech. I was asked to deliver the 17th Sir Frank Worrell Memorial Lecture at Cave Hill. And that is published in a book. That's one of the essays published in a book called Our Caribbean Civilization and Its Prospects. And it's a full essay. I spoke to the speech because it's a long paper. I know students are using it when they're writing about their course on cricket and about civilization. Like, of course, this is the same line of what Hilary Beckles has written, a series of books on cricket and national liberation. And other people too. But I think it's fair to say that Beckles is the historian who has addressed this in a more comprehensive way than any other historian. And we have to do something. Here is a sport. And hear me on this as to the reasons, the background. Here is a sport which came to the Caribbean, came to the English-speaking Caribbean by the British, by the English. Scottish too and Welsh, but really in the Irish, but the British.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Irish, I'm talking about Northern Ireland, not Ireland. Not the Irish Republic, but the English. This is a quintessential English game. But the English didn't have enough, in a nutshell, the English didn't have enough good players for them to play on all the estates. Because you remember many estates had cricket pitches.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to involve enslaved African bodies. You had to involve Portuguese and Indian indentured laborers. And you had to include, after emancipation, those who had been freed from British enslavement of African bodies. And the place where you could have a sense of equality was on the cricket pitch. Or the umpire may give a little biased thing here or there for massa. But basically, men played a sport as quote-unquote equals. But it took, after West Indies entered Test cricket in 1928, it took from between 1928 and 1960 for a black man to be made captain of the West Indies cricket team, and certainly on a touring team when Frank Worrell went to Australia 1960-61 with that amazing team, which lost 2-1 but won the hearts of people all over the world. Cricket. When they were leaving Melbourne, I want the young people to know this. Over 100,000 persons lined the streets when they were going to the airport. Over 100,000 persons. It's amazing. You think that these guys are rock stars? People only come out like that in England for footballers. In Tottenham or Manchester, if Man United or Man City or Tottenham win something, or down Arsenal by the Emirates at Highbury. But this happened in Australia. And then something which is amazing. Cecil, there are 4 sports from the 20th century into the 21st century where one country or a region has dominated for 15 years. Not for 10 years. So if I say 10 years, I have to include Brazil with football. 15 years as champions of the world. First of all, amateur Olympic boxing, Cuba, a country of 10 million people. The Soviet Union, stroke Russia in ice hockey. Russia is now 150 million people. The Soviet Union was 300 and something million. Thirdly, East Africa with long distance running up to the marathon, largely Ethiopia and Kenya. Ethiopia is now 100 million people. Kenya is 40 something, 50 million. And the West Indies in cricket, 5 million people for 15 years. This is an extraordinary historic phenomenon. And we are treating it.
You didn't match the fact that the West Indies is not 60 million or 300 million. It's 5 or 6 million.
5 million.
Yeah.
5 million. Because we ain't putting Haiti in this thing. As Mo knows, 6 million. But at the time, 5 million. It's an extraordinary matter. And you're treating it, packing it onto Weeper. Weeper's dinner. And give fellas a dinner. And the money they gave them, sorry to say, it's an embarrassment, $10,000. After 50 years? No. Surely as a money-making enterprise, Cricket West Indies should have been able to do better than that. And to mobilize the International Cricket Conference to put resources to these important phenomena, so that these legends could have been better celebrated on these 2 important anniversaries. Of course, some of the guys are dead, even from the 1975 team. Fredericks, for instance. A few others can't travel easily. Don't know the situation with Kanai. Last time I saw Lance Gibbs a few years ago, he was doing quite well. He's in Miami, and so on and so forth. No. It is our duty to do something. This is an embarrassment. And persons may think that Ralph wants to show up Shallow because Shallow is president of Cricket West Indies. Absolutely not. I would have loved if Cricket West Indies had done something magnificent, but fellas have a bureaucratic cast of mind.
So if they say they want to participate in this event, would you allow them to?
They can come and participate.
So then CWI, there's an opportunity.
They can come and participate.
Prime Minister,
I was talking this morning, the person I was talking on the phone as I was entering here was Mason from Mason and Guest in Barbados. Mason is so excited about this thing that he has volunteered to be involved and be engaged. And we had to do this thing very quickly, as you could imagine, because by the time I was prompting the Cricket West Indies to do something, and then all they did defensively and say, yeah, they're doing something, and they had it on their website for I don't know, I think I may have the articles here, which I wrote. I could find them, but the one on the one for the 50th anniversary was written towards the end of June, because is the anniversary is the 21st of June.
Prime Minister,
Papers, it was online.
Are you in a position to share with us some of the names coming in, the legends who are coming in from overseas?
No, I got a report, and as always, I like the ministers who are responsible for these things and who have all the up-to-date information. I got a briefing on Thursday, and I know we have persons from who have played for the West Indies from inside of St. Vincent, who are also involved in the organizing committee. It's done with also the Ministry of Sport, Ministry of Tourism, because it's a many-sided matter.
I presume a person like Marlon Samuels would be around.
Wow.
Well, I don't know.
He comes here regularly. He comes to
Yeah, I don't know whether he's involved in the playing.
Okay.
But they have. Oh yes, I have the. Yeah, actually, I wrote this on the 30th of May, and it would have come out early in June. This one, the one 50 years ago, the one 60 years ago, was written just around the time, the middle of May or thereabouts, and subsequently published.
Well, it would be good. So I hope the Minister James would share it.
I'm sure that they will. I think they have put out. I saw something in St. Vincent Times where he made an announcement about it. But he's the person who from the tourism side, but he's working with Orlando Brewster. But I didn't want Orlando to take his eye off the ball with the housing rehabilitation. So he's involved, but tourism and culture driving it. And in any event, some of the organization, he has organizational frameworks. People who had just come out of Carnival and so on to help out with this venture.
I listened to the press conference, but I didn't hear him mention any particular name. But I thought it was very creative to use a local name like Grenadines, Whalers, not Windward Warriors, and so on and so forth. I thought that was Kingston Kings.
Yeah, well, some of the details I'm not privy. What I was interested in was the overall framework, Joel, as to what is happening, how we are doing things. Some specific things which the cabinet needed to know about.
I want to ask, I'm still on cricket.
Yeah, I wanted to get in on the same. But go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted, but I'm going to switch to CARICOM because I want you to know if CARICOM discuss the status of West Indies cricket at the summit. I just want you to.
Well, we had discussed there was a report on it, Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Cricket, but not, the conference didn't address this. But I raised a question, however. I said that I've heard it being spoken about, and I haven't seen any decision on it about Cricket West Indies wanting to have an external company which is involved in lottos to set up a special lotto across the Caribbean, from which money, a percentage of the money can be put to Cricket West Indies. So I say I wanted to know where this decision is so I can read about it, because I've been attending the meetings and I don't know if I took a bathroom break and this was discussed and there's some, I just wanted to know. So I had to raise it on the floor of the conference. And to make it clear that whoever wants to get involved in that can get involved in that. But St. Vincent and the Grenadines will not be getting involved in that. I know of a proposal, and I know this proposal has been discussed. A presentation was made, but I know no decision, as far as I know, has been made. People may be interested in it in some parts of the region. But I made it plain. In 1969, 1970, the Americans sent Neil Armstrong to the moon.
69.
Surely, 1969, surely, in the year 2025, I don't need any American to run my lotto. So I make that pellucid. Who want to have that happen, they can do that. If Cricket West Indies wants a contribution from our lotto to do something, that's a matter we can discuss. You understand where I'm coming from? Because this same gentleman with the firm is not unknown in this region, an American. He had come to me before. In fact, he had come to me with my brethren of blessed memory, Kendwe. And I said to him, I said, why don't you try to bring a factory or a hotel to St. Vincent? You come in to involve yourself in gambling in my country with special lotto and also these video slot machines. That's what they want to put. That's what they want to put. And if I'm talking here, and by making it public, I'm contributing to torpedoing it, I'll be happy. I don't mind my back broad. I can take licks from whoever want to give me licks. But I always proceed, Joel and P. John and Cecil, from a rational basis. If you want to disagree with me with it, disagree with me. Here it is. We brought our lotto from just under $10 million in revenues to revenues of over $90 million, 90-something million dollars. We've done a lot of work with Lotto for Sports and Culture. Any entity which comes in to run any lotto, to compete with us or displace us, is going to take money from our lotto. The money is going to go outside. They say, oh, the government will get more revenues and so on. I say, you're going to get the bulk of the revenues. I said, the only monies which we pay outside from our lotto is to Canadian banknote, which provides the technology, which is a different thing. Joel, you run a big company, you pay external sources for your technology. Yeah. You would have local people trained to run the thing, but initially, yes. No. And I have stood askance against the video slot machines. They are addictive. And young men, teenage boys and girls will take the family silver, the family gold, and they will pawn them and get money for these to play these video slot machines. I have enough challenges already. We, Joel, have enough challenges already. So I'm not, you can tell me that you have video slot machines in this or that country in the Caribbean. Well, they're welcome to them. You're welcome to them. I've examined this issue very carefully. And the monies you will get from it will not compensate for what the dangers which are going to be brought. In any event, why you need somebody from the great US of A to come hustle you to get your money from St. Vincent? Not me. So I made my point very clear at the heads of government on this matter.
Joel, I know you want to come in. I know you have this. Let me just ask PM a follow-up. Well, not a follow-up, but a question in the same question of CWI and CARICOM. I noticed, I read someplace where CWI is planning to take its franchise to South America. Was that an issue on the CARICOM?
No,
agenda?
and there is, in principle, there's nothing wrong with you having a product and you want to market it, Joel, even in Virgin Territory. We see it being done, I don't know the details of this. We see it being done in the United States of America. We see games being played in Florida, for instance. Some of the games are well attended and some are not well attended. I guess it depends on the nights you have there. If you have a midweek night, it's unlikely that people are going to watch a cricket game in Florida on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night, unless you are to mobilize teams which are going to have strong Indian and Pakistani bases or wherever. So I got to watch at the migrant pool. We have a lot of Caribbean people there too, and they will go, but maybe not on a Tuesday, a Wednesday night or a Thursday night, certainly weekend nights. And those are scheduling things. But so I don't have a problem with they seeking to make money where they can in some legitimate manner, consistent with our values and the values of cricket. And there are values of cricket. And we can talk about those values inherent to cricket. And one of the things about cricket is that is almost reflective of the common law principle of innocent until you're proven guilty. The batsman at the crease gets the benefit of the doubt. It's a fairness point. Mm-hmm. And that you have an authority on the field for adjudication. Well, now technology supplements that with an authority, a third umpire in the stands. So there are values, and those values are connected really, in our context, to social democracy. C.L.R. James taught us that cricket goes beyond a boundary. And it seems as though there are bureaucratic minds with a different perspective on this matter. I am maybe listeners are probably hearing me for the first time about it. You probably say, "But they know that the comrade knows about cricket," and it's a matter in which I've been involved with from donkey years, and I studied it, I read it, I watched it, and I played cricket. Of course, I wish if I had, as a youngster, more ability at cricket than I had. But this thing is vital to us, to our civilization.
Yeah, Joe.
Just very quickly, I'll go through as quickly as I possibly could. I'm dealing with the 1975 World Cup victory and so forth. But just going back, just a quick comment about 1960-61, the Australia tour, and how Warren and his team was celebrated upon departing Australia. The 90,000 persons who were in the MCG.
Absolutely.
It was fantastic. But just to tie it, an event which took place a few months before, in the 1960 Olympics, with then Muhammad Ali, then Cassius Clay, who was celebrated abroad. When he got back home, he couldn't enter in certain places. He had to throw his medal into say. Just make comparison. Ask the question whether or not in 1961, whether the West Indian cricketers, how were they treated between 61, say for the next 10 years and so on. Whatever it is worth, right? To just put that in. I'll move on quickly to 1975 and the World Cup. I just want to say, in that same year, because there was a big gap between the big boys, Barbados, Jamaica, Trinidad, and Guyana. That's where Test cricket was played only, right? And we had the small islands. And that same year, a few months earlier, was when the combined islands, headed by our own Mike Finley, did something phenomenal. And we virtually, let's say that had it not been the intervention of Stallmeyer and others, that maybe that the combined islands could have been a judge of one that serious. But we were celebrated. I remember with Milton Cato and others and so on, and they had some of the cricketers were in St. Vincent. We had a procession with Mike Finley and so on back in 75. I'm just saying as well that we also have the small islands and to celebrate. This is 50 years as well when the combined islands more or less began to come of age. So just for what it is worth. 3 years after our victory in the World Cup, we had issues still with West Indies cricket.
Yes.
And that is with the intervention of Kerry Packer.
Yes.
With some issues that we have to be mindful of. And then that is why even still 5 years beyond that, we still had the whole South Africa issue on for what it is worth. So and
then critical in the analysis when you're going forward.
Yes.
To the present time. The power of international cricket was located in the axis England, Australia.
Yes.
The headquarters was Lords.
Yes.
Now, money is speaking in contemporary cricket. And the locus of power has moved from England to India. What has contributed to that? Television, all the other media platforms, and 1.4 billion people. You have an audience of 500 million people in India for cricket. Well, they haven't quite put the headquarters in Mumbai or Delhi or anywhere. They put it in Dubai, which is just 1 hour away from India. So, and one of the things which we have to be careful about is, and to negotiate it. India is a non-aligned country. We have excellent relations politically with India. But there is a danger that, quote unquote, Indian cricket imperialism could be as determining and stifling as an earlier form of cricket imperialism, or hegemony, if you don't want to use the word imperialism.
Yes.
So I want to, because that drives modern cricket now, the IPL and the scheduling and all the rest of it. complicated business. That is all the reason why we must take this public good called cricket and let it be manifested on the ground. We took issue with Dave Cameron because Dave Cameron wanted Cricket West Indies exclusively to manage the public good without even taking account of governments and people. There is a fundamental contradiction in the management of cricket in the West Indies. Here is a public good, but it's managed by a private company registered in the BVI, Cricket West Indies. And hear me this. Of course, cricket has been modernized away from the old planter merchant elite management grouping. But we have not seen the successors of the planter merchant elite encompassing the mass of the people. They make genuflections. They talk about working with governments. They may have a less abrasive relationship than Cameron had with governments. But still, it's all window dressing. The fundamental and so-called reforms recently were more about consolidating personal power than about democratizing West Indies cricket to involve people. And it is reflected. And Andy Roberts was correct in making the criticism about how the legends of 1975 have been treated, and that what was offered as a celebration was as close to an approximation of an insult. He didn't quite, I don't know if you saw his stringent criticisms. He criticized it. Of course, Andy Roberts is a man of great solidarity, so he went because he didn't want to spoil the party. But he's a man who, with an analytic mind and with cricket bursting in his veins and being a legend himself, it's a noise in his blood, is an echo in his bones, that he thought that it was wholly underwhelming what Cricket West Indies did for the legends of 1975, and not even of those of 1965 too. You remember this too. Under the Cato administration, there was a law passed. I can't recall, I must double check it to see if it gave him the opportunity for citizenship for St. Vincent and Grenadines. I'm talking about Garfield Sobers. But certainly, for him to purchase property without having to get an alien landholding license, he was exempted.
Yeah.
You remember that? There are people who are talking to me and say we should offer citizenship to the legends if they would wish to accept it. Some people have suggested that to me.
May I just add to that? Just Milton Cato said in 1975, with regard to the Combined Islands, he made a comment. He said, "I don't care. We win already, or we done win, or we win." That was his comment from 1975.
Yes.
I just want to wrap up very quickly and just make one thing about. I would love to see in your. Well, we're just a few weeks away from the celebration of this momentous event. I would love to see 50 young Vincentian males, boys, and 50 females, young girls, get cricket gear as a part of commemorative activity, and that we can actually say work with them. There's a team of persons out looking for these 50 persons and that we work with them and celebrate. It may not take place in 2 weeks.
Well, you know what we were asking is for the primary and secondary schools to tell us about what gears they will require. So you say 50-50. You introduce a new dimension to it, but we were thinking about what may be required in schools and how many of the schools, which it comes from the same vortex. Your idea and that what I'm telling you, that was some consideration was coming to it, comes out of the same idea, the same impulse for young people to be involved in this event, and for it to give a lift to them from this festival, and to use our history to further uplift us and not to desecrate us, and to do it in a meaningful way.
Yeah. And do you see that, Prime Minister, in your thinking, in your planning, was that meant to come from the government coffers?
Yes.
Okay.
Between ourselves and the lotto.
Okay. All right.
Just to end that, I would like to suggest for the CWI, to give them an opportunity to redress the situation. In 2.5 years' time, we celebrate the 100th anniversary of our entry into Test cricket. I think that's about right? 2028.
2028.
Right, 100 years. And so we have 2.5 years. Say we are going to do everything possible to get West Indies back up to the pinnacle or close to the pinnacle of cricket in the 2.5 years. And this is the program to take us there. We are not going to celebrate in 2028. We want to deal with it now and work towards then. We have 2.5 years. If they can achieve that, they can achieve that. My last comment quickly is that when Brian Lara...
Excellent idea.
Yes. When Brian Lara was exited the stage, I think it's his last... sorry, go ahead.
Joel, if your leadership of Cricket West Indies, and I'm not talking about an individual now, I'm talking collectively. If the leadership of Cricket West Indies is mired in the routinization of schedules and by the framework which is set by the ICC to their disadvantage, and if they have a bureaucratic cast of mind typical of the vacillating petty bourgeoisie, you will not get creative ideas coming like what you're talking about. When we were involved in ourselves, that's why, fellas, that's why I wrote in the second of my articles about the importance of history and history linking to our present and to our future. When we were preparing for World Cup 2007, the preparation started several years before, because we had to get fields together, we had to pass laws. Some of them had sunset provision status of the Forces Act. We had to do the things with, remember you had some bands which you put around your hand, there was complete freedom of movement if you come in to look for cricket. You remember that? We set up an entire infrastructure, including security infrastructure, intelligence. That's how the Joint Intelligence Fusion Center came about in the region. But we are 100 years away from our involvement in Cricket West Indies. And we are 2.5 years away from it. And those with the bureaucratic cast of mind, who have no appreciation as to from where we have come, except in the most superficial manner, would not conceive of a program for it. It's as though all which has been written, if you're preoccupied with seeking to get a man to run the lottos, in the region and to get some money from it, and maybe to do other thing and do some other dreaming. With no pun and
Okay.
the point about it is this: you're not going beyond the boundary. You're not going beyond the boundary. You're thinking about this thing in a large sense of something being essential, existential to our civilization.
Yeah.
But the suggestion that Joel, suggestion that you're making, shouldn't it be put to the board of Cricket West Indies rather than
No. But Joel is. But the point is this: it shouldn't even require Joel.
But in as much as no.
I'm saying it shouldn't even require. That should be so much in your mind.
Yeah, but in as much as
That
they
it
have not,
becomes a natural. It's something natural.
but in as much as they have not expressed it,
Yes.
and Joel has the idea. I my own thinking is that it should be best
Joel
placed
should write it up.
to and send it to
And
them.
and it's a matter which the whole of CARICOM would certainly look at favorably. I certainly embrace it, because if I'm embracing what I'm talking about and seeking what we do, and over the journey, we have to remember the role of Vincentians, even though Joel is quite correct about it's only in the era of Lloyd and with Viv and Andy and so on, Andy Roberts, and then subsequently Richie Richardson and so on, that the islands, the smaller territories came into being. Well, Frank Worrell had seen at forecast that the future of the cricket will depend significantly also on the Windward and Leeward Islands. Prior to Test cricket, we have to talk about the Olivier brothers, Charles and Richard, and I think they have some familial connection with you, Pijan. And then the first person to play Test cricket for us is the great Alfie Roberts, who died in Canada, a political activist on the anti-imperialist, anti-colonialist, who would have liked what we are talking about here today. He played for the West Indies in New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's New Zealand, yeah.
And then
57.
56, 57 was the tour of England. And then we have Mike Finley, we have Ian Allen, we have
Coffee.
Winston Davis, we have Coffee, we Nixon McLean, and we have people who played for England, Will Slack and Neil Williams, and we must not forget Dighton Butler in the recent time, and we must not forget Kesrick Williams, and so on. And we have to stake our claim in it too. It's ours, it belongs to us, we must own it. And that's what this festival is about. We are owning it. It's ours.
All right. So
Let's start it. I just want to tie back to your very beginning and how you came in a philosophical perspective and so on. I just making the point by Brian Lara, when he came off the field and they gave him a mic to say it was the last match, and he asked a question: did I entertain? And it then hit me then, but growing up, I didn't see cricket just as entertainment. I think it was and I was disappointed in Lara's question. And it just ties back to how you introduced the whole discussion on this. So I wonder if you want to conclude and
Well, I will tell you this. When Lara came to St. Vincent many years ago to play out at Annisville, remember West Indies came? And they were staying at the time, I know he was staying, I found out he was staying at this hotel up in Kingston Park.
Grenadine's house?
Grenadine's house. And I took my copy of CLR James's Beyond the Boundary. I subsequently bought another one and put a note in it for him and marked the chapter dealing with the captaincy of Worrell. and suggested to him that he reads it. Don't know if he ever, I suspect he probably did read it. Never had the opportunity to ask him, never asked him or wrote him and said, did you get it? But I know he'd have gotten it because I gave it to the front desk. I went there myself. Because I'm always interested in our leaders. I wrote in the field of cricket, I wrote a letter to Jamel Warrican when he became vice captain for West Indies cricket.
Yeah.
He's from Connery. His grandfather and his great uncle, who were a little older than me, played cricket together in the village.
Although he said Murray Village.
Although
he said he was born in Murray Village.
Well, that's where he was actually born, but where his grandfather is Dowley Warrican from Connery, and his great uncle is Claston. He's Irvin Warrican's. Irvin Warrican is his father's first cousin, and he lived in Connery, and came to Connery for his grandfather's funeral. His grandfather is buried in Connery. I saw him there. Anyway, I wrote him, and I also wrote a letter to Ruston Chase on his appointment as captain. There are many things I do with this. I don't talk about them in as much as we're talking about it now. And I'm in the same way that I was involved in helping to resolve the matter of Chris Gayle and Cricket West Indies, as you remember that. I went to Trinidad to help to resolve the matter with some other West Indies players and Cameron at the time, and so forth. At one time, I was chair of the cricket, the Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Cricket in CARICOM and so on. And when I went on to other things, and Keith Rowley was interested in doing some things with cricket, I said, well, take the chairmanship. Antigua really is the country to which it has assigned first, but there were some difficulties, and then Keith Mitchell got the chairmanship, and because Dave Cameron had a way of knocking the shine off a fella's balls, metaphorically. But it sounds as though, from what people tell me, Cameron has come to some redemption. I don't know. In looking forward. But that's a matter for Cricket West Indies.
Beyond the festival coming up, can we expect any follow-up in addition to the suggestion of equipping the schools and so on?
Yes, and they will follow up on that. And Cecil, again, public policy we have shown is important. Look at the investment we have put in the Park Hill field. Look at the investment we have put in the Chile Plain field. And we have to do some drainage issues at Park Hill now. I got a report, something with the wall at Chile. Look at what we have done in Cumberland. Under 19 cricket, played at Cumberland and played at Park Hill on an ongoing basis. Look, when the opposition in this country mocked and laughed at us spending the money we spent first, the 54 million EC dollars, to upgrade Arnesville and Sion Hill and Stubbs to do the warm-up games in 2007. When we went to Parliament for the money, for the $30-something million to prepare for Cricket World Cup, Friday, as usual, danced, and in fact, he began by urging me to why I didn't do what Holness did in Jamaica. Holness said that I he said that wholeness is basically making the point that the dance can't pay for the light. Why am I spending money on this thing if I can't find other thing to spend money on? Towards the end, of course, he meandered his way, like he was thinking out on his feet. He said, well, we don't really oppose it, but you could have do it different. You could have spent it more. You didn't have to spend that amount of money, and talking out of every 4 or 5 sides of his mouth. But basically, I had to tell him, I had to give him a lecture on what, including things which I'm talking about. People would have heard it in the parliament. And I told him that you must know that there are people like him who know the price of everything and the value of nothing. And what's the first thing? Bramble was at the World Cup games shouting, we're looking good, we're looking nice. And we saw how people responded to what we have done there. So public policy is also very important, and these things are reflected in our public policy, what I'm talking about here.
I want to open up for some calls, but before we do, Prime Minister, there are a couple of things that came out of the CARICOM summit you want to share with us, for example?
Yes. Well, the big headline, which I'd spoken about at the press briefing, is that there are 4 countries, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and St. Vincent and Grenadines, have decided to, on the enhanced cooperation, to have complete free movement of labor as of the 1st. These 4 countries as of the 1st of October. And this is what it says. Participating member states will among themselves, these are 4, grant their nationals the right to A, enter, leave, and re-enter, move freely, reside, work, and remain indefinitely in the receiving member state without the need to obtain a residency permit or a work permit. B, access primary and public secondary education. And C, access emergency health care and primary health care services provided by the government within the means and capacity of the receiving member state. And then the participating member states have agreed that the requisite legislative, security, and administrative measures to support the free movement of their nationals will be undertaken to permit the same by October the 1st. Now, there was a problem with complete free movement for everybody at this time. Mm-hmm. Let me just back up. Mm-hmm. Article 45 in the revised Treaty of Chagarama says the goal is free movement. Article 46 says, okay, in going to that goal, we will move in stages by having these categories who can go. And these categories have been expanded over time from just university graduates first and so on, with people with associate degrees. And this last one involves technical skilled people with vocational, CARICOM vocational qualification, certification, agricultural workers, domestics, pretty much everybody. Just recently, a category which had been missed was that involving aircraft personnel, people who fix the planes and so on, maintenance and all the rest of it. And then, of course, everybody had agreed, and the Shanik Myrie case at the CCJ had confirmed this, that you can have up to 6 months stay in any CARICOM country and subject to national security or whether you have the means to stay for the period of time. And the Shanik Myrie case, which is part of community law, which binds us, everybody, outline what is the procedures for nationals of CARICOM who go into another CARICOM country. Good. So that's the backdrop in a nutshell. The OECS, which is a tighter grouping, we all have agreed that we will do exactly what these 4 countries want to do. In fact, we go beyond that because we offer more than just the primary and secondary education, and public and primary healthcare, public health and primary healthcare. So these 4 countries, 2 of them are OECS countries, Dominica and St. Vincent and Grenadines. So that between Dominica and ourselves, we are doing more than this already and for a longer period of time. So that's done. Belize, a lot of us don't go to Belize and a lot of Belizeans don't come to us. Save and except those who have Garifuna links. So that's an important linkage there. So that those from Belize, Garifuna, who want to come and be in Euromine, they can come for short periods and work, for long periods and work. We can do the same thing down there. Currently, they can come for up to 6 months, but they can't work. If they work, they have to get work permits. Now they wouldn't be, after the 1st of October, they wouldn't require work. Leaves now Barbados and St. Vincent. And you know, a number of Vincentians go to Barbados on an ongoing basis for up to the 6-month period. A lot of families they have. Some of them, including in my constituency, they go and work in the shadows, you know. They go and work on a construction site. They go and work in a restaurant or something like that. And sometimes they're underpaid. Very often they are taken advantage of. And it's done in the shadows. Of course, there's always fear that immigration may come and get them and deport them because they don't have work permit or residency permit. No, they'll be able to do that quite easily, including people from my constituency. So what is being done here is not anything which is deleterious to us. On the other hand, it is very supportive of us and our people. Of course, Barbadians would also come here to work. And I don't know whether when you do the set off, where more going to come from, sometimes you might have more Bajans and Vincentians going there. But I think by and large, people will move and would be younger folk, by and large, would move, you know. Families would move if they have certainty of they have a job, which is lasting for a particular period of time. And those of us who go there, we wouldn't have to worry about police coming, immigration coming to check us, because we'd be able after October the 1st to work without any work permit or residency permit. You can go and see your auntie, you can see your uncle, you can see your mother. You know, so that is, Antigua and Barbuda had long entered a reservation, and I could understand why. Half of Antigua and Barbuda are non-nationals, but Antigua and Barbuda has been welcoming to people. And they didn't have any problem with us from the OECS countries because the numbers would not be so overwhelming. The other countries say they want to wait for 3 years. They want to put things in place. Some say 7 years, different timelines. But these 4 are prepared to go. I suspect that St. Lucia and Grenada will probably come on board pretty soon also, because they're in the same boat like the other 2 Windward Islands, ourselves and Dominica.
But does that mean, Prime Minister, that services, well, health services in particular, would be open to all citizens on a free basis? For example, going to Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Barbados.
You'll get primary, you'll get public health and primary.
Primary, okay.
Primary health.
All right.
Not secondary health care.
Okay.
Now, in St. Vincent and Grenadines, as you know, generally speaking, people who come from other countries, even if they're from outside of the Caribbean and they get sick and they go to our hospital, we treat them in pretty much the same way as we treat our own nationals. We don't charge them more for the room.
That's precisely why I asked the question.
We don't charge them more for the room. We ourselves, we have, and of course, I think that has to do with numbers, because the numbers are not significant. We will see as you get freer movement if the numbers are going to be significant.
Because I've heard of other nationals coming to, for example, take advantage of the services offered at the
Modern
medical.
Yes.
So it's in
will
that
continue.
context that
That will continue.
And right now, Barbadian doctors who want to practice, say, for 2 or 3 days, or maybe, what is required of them?
They have to be registered here.
And what after October, what will...
They'll have to be registered. They can come and work, but they will require to clear the hurdle of their professional registration, which is easy. It's a question of just, if you want to practice here, you send your documentation, because that's a matter now of the national legislation. Same thing, our doctors going to practice in Barbados will have to go through their medical board. Those who want to be called to the bar to practice as lawyers will be called to the bar in the same way. But if they're called to the bar in Barbados, they're going to be able to be called to the bar here. That's just a procedural issue.
So what the implication?
But that's a separate and distinct matter, P. John, from having the freedom to come and work without any requirement for a work permit or a residency permit. But if you want to practice as a doctor, you'll have to be registered, because we have a regulatory authority for that. Otherwise, any quack can turn up and say they're a doctor and put up a shingle. So you have to have the regulatory system in place.
All right, I want to invite persons now who wish to interact with you, Prime Minister, to call us 457-9997, and that's the WhatsApp number. Or if you want to send a WhatsApp message, or call the same number if you just want to call direct. 457-9997 is the number to call.
I suspect we're going a little beyond 1 o'clock.
I am taking the advantage of Jules' permission.
I dress in black. I have a striped black shirt and pants because I have to go to a funeral not too far in the area. But I could be okay.
As long as you
I'll be okay.
We have a call. We have a call online.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Prime Minister, good abstract food, man. Cricket is the equalizer, you know. When people will just say, when I play cricket, you know, when I meet me not play for, we are a black man, me play for, me not play for the West Indies, you know. A black man, me play for, because South Africa, you remember me, Prem?
Yes, I know my brother. That you
just man.
I know you anything. And by the way, the matter in which you are dealt with otherwise, you must touch base with Carlos for me, eh? It has advanced.
Yeah, man, we touch base. You know, we set it, the thing will happen, you know, because we're looking to tie up the thing. Right? You see, carnival and cricket must be used as a medium to raise national consciousness and the Caribbean and African liberation. This is the point that I'm making. Is 9 more years before the 200th anniversary, and when they say they take the chain off, we are now with foot, you know. So we have to use that as a medium going down the road.
Absolutely, brethren.
All right, Kwame.
We had the same wavelength, Kwame.
All right,
thanks
for calling.
Up, man.
Thanks.
All right. So the number to call is 457-9997. In the meantime, I'm just seeing an invitation from Minister James. He must be listening to the program. He's inviting us, the panel, to the launch on Tuesday, the 15th, Tuesday coming tomorrow, day after tomorrow, of the Emancipation Cricket Series. So it's going to be launched on Tuesday.
I think that's when he's going to lay out his plans.
Yes, that's what he said in the message. So he's inviting us to come
Carlos, I'm really impressed with the work he's doing in this regard. He and his team, they're doing fantastic work. And from a technical standpoint, there are several other persons, but Kesrick has also been very good in an advisory capacity. Others too.
Okay. Yes, he seems to be on the ball. Yes, we don't have a call line up here, Prime Minister, no message. No. I just wonder if there's anything else you want to emphasize in the meantime.
There are a few important things which we addressed at the heads of government. Let me just, one which some persons may be interested in, I think the community as a whole will be interested in. There are a lot of security.
Prime Minister, if you don't mind,
yes, go ahead.
Take the calls because we have one here coming in. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, you all.
Good afternoon.
My name is Benita Sharon. I want to talk to the Prime Minister of here, please.
Well, you'll have to talk to me off air after the program.
Who am I speaking to?
This is Ralph talking.
This is your dear humble lady Gypsy.
Hey, well, you have the fella's number. You could always show me Gypsy. All right.
What you say?
You have my security officer's number. I will.
Okay, I'll call tomorrow.
Yeah. You have my number. You have my number, and you have the security number too. All right.
All right, thank you.
All right, Gypsy.
Mr. Ryan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Gypsy.
That's a stop woman, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Ryan, you believe me, folks, like by calling on the street, and I listen to your program every Sunday.
All right, well, thanks.
And the guy from Barley say hey to me and Mr. What the other man name? Mr. Providence and Mr. Man from Barley.
No, he's not from Barley, but he's a teacher in Barley.
Barley, Pigeon.
Okay, Pigeon. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon to you. All right, then, Gypsy.
All right, Mr. Okay.
Take care.
No, I was going to say there is a security question. A lot of discussion in caucus with CARICOM leaders on the issue of strengthening security. And another time I could come on to give some details as to where we are going with part of the discussion. The purpose is to recommend how CARICOM member states might effectively legislate to designate certain indiscriminate acts of violence and criminality committed in public spaces as acts of terrorism, speedily bring the perpetrators to justice, and impose stiff sentences for such acts of terrorism. The idea being, much of our laws on terrorism has come from Western Europe, out of the United Nations system, North America. We have not, and issues concerning financing for terrorism and the like. But we have seen the emergence in the region and in these small countries where something may not seem in a larger country as though it's an act of terror, where somebody just goes and shoots in a crowd 3 persons. That instills a certain fear in people. And you can have persons who are not even involved in any kind of associational group in competition between them in their criminal pursuits, maybe innocent bystanders. The question is that whether that should not be seen as a terrorist act, as distinct from just murder simpliciter. That they could be charged for murder, but also charged for the act, as if it were a terrorist act. And to put timelines as to when such persons should be brought to trial.
And the penalty?
And also enhanced penalties.
Prime Minister, sorry. While your calls are coming in, do you mind if I take the calls?
No, take the calls.
Oh, okay,
Take the
all
calls.
right, so-
Take the calls.
All right, but go ahead. None is there now.
No, but that is one important matter. We also discuss the question, and we're going to advance it, of a multi-jurisdictional task force, something which is nimble, mobile, and which, if there's an upsurge in any country of any violence, for such a mobile force to enter the country. From time to time, when people have difficulties of something more like a social unrest, they might call the RSS, Regional Security System. But this is something which is different, and we want to see how we can advance this.
All right, Prime Minister, we have a number of calls line.
Sure.
You don't mind. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good afternoon, and how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm blessed.
All right, good to have you on.
Okay, you know my voice. This is Susan Alexander calling on the Hill. Prime Minister, I have two questions to ask him, but first of all, I want to let him know that I wish him all the best in the upcoming election, which will be very soon. He has the date, and he will announce it.
Which election are you talking about? Which election?
Susan Alexander, the host of the program, is playing obtuse with you this afternoon.
I have some concern, right? I have about 3 concerns, and I'm going to be quick.
Sure.
One, I have recently went to the carnival activity, especially CDC. I love to attend CDC activity, especially the masquerade. But I was bombarded. I had to move. I keep running from one place to another because of the excessive smoking, right?
Smoking of weed, of ganja?
Weed, cigarette,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay.
Right? Will there be any law soon will be passed concerning smoking in public places? Because I need to be comfortable when I leave my home, and they talk about secondhand smoking, how it's dangerous, right? That's one. Two, Green Hill is a recent developed community, and I want to thank the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for making this place a home away from home. It's a community. But however, I have few little concerns. One, I have to be paying monthly to clean the drain, right? Now, the drain pass through certain area, and the dirt from up in the mountain, because Green Hill gets a lot of rain,
Yes.
right? That wash away, and then no one comes to clean the drain. It's clogged. It's not even close to my property, but I have to clean it, and the price gone up from 100 to 180 to 200. Now I have to pay to clean the drain. I also have a concern about the lighting in terms of street light and also a fire hydrant. In case of an emergency,
Okay.
I haven't seen any fire hydrant in my community where I currently reside. Now, lastly, right, the potholes, right? The potholes need serious addressing in Green Hill. I'm a person who loves to walk a lot, because I believe walking is very important for my health at this stage. I cannot afford a gym, right? But the potholes.
Let me deal with your four practical questions. The last one with the potholes. I know that Bragsa is carrying out a program in Green Hill and Sharps. The minibuses about 3 weeks ago had expressed grave concern, and I called a meeting with them and with Bragsa and so on, and Bragsa has started. They might not have gotten around by your area yet, but they're working on that. So that's one that's being dealt with. I will talk to CWSA about the fire hydrant. If you get for me, Suzanne, the pool numbers, you don't have to give me. You can call them and give Angie. Angie's number is 4561703. That's at the office. 4561703. I could get Vinlek to address the questions, but I need the poll numbers. those poles which you think need light. And the other matter, I will talk to Ken Bartolome at Bragsa. In fact, when I finish here, when I'm on my way to my funeral, I will tell him that I get a complaint on the radio from a lady who's very concerned about the fact that her drains are clogging up. I think what is happening there are certain places in the country which have particular problems, like Green Hill with this. They can't wait and do it in the way in which they will do the general cleaning. They have to do it. They have to look at that and do places like that more frequently. So I'll talk to him about that. No, we don't have legislation on the books in relation to smoking marijuana or, in fact, cigarettes in a open place like park. What we have is that there is a criminal offense. It's an offense to smoke inside of public buildings, like government buildings, one sort or the other. There's legislation on those things. Now, it'd be interesting to hear the views of persons in relation to the two issues you have raised. Other persons have spoken to me about it in the way you have, and of course there are people who hold an opposite view. But I as somebody who doesn't smoke anything at all, I find it irritating if I'm sitting down somewhere enjoying myself, that somebody next to me is smoking cigarette or smoking weed or something like that, which I also usually have to move. So it's people, when you have certain freedoms, you have to use these freedoms not with license, and you have to take into account other people, other considerations. And I'm glad you have raised the issue so that we can have some further public conversation on it, and to implore persons when they're going to smoke and they are in a place, wherever, Victoria Park or wherever, place of entertainment, remember that there are other people whom this thing affects, and have some consideration for them too. You have enough time to smoke in your house. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And smoke other places. So that'd be my responses. Thanks. Good.
All right, Susan. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye. Okay.
Yeah. Then I raised the issues which I raised in my speech. I raised on the floor of the conference, those concerning the foreign exchange issues with Trinidad, the question of the overflight space, the matter of the outstanding $64 million from the Clico-Bico agreement, the insufficiency of the disregard for the assessed amounts by certain countries in relation to the CARICOM Development Fund, from which we get resources because we are unequally yoked. These are compensatory mechanisms which are in the treaty. On the Sunday afternoon, I went earlier than usual before the opening, and I saw, fortunately, the new foreign minister, a young man. I like him a lot. Sean
Prime Minister,
Sobers.
can we take a few
Yes.
calls? Yeah, because they're coming in.
Yes, sure.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I just want to make one suggestion. The lady was talking about the marijuana smoking. Over at the St. Kitts Music Festival, they have a special area. They call it the fourth. It's fenced off with seats. And I understand they have to go to Parliament and pass special legislation to allow that, although many people do violate it. But that would be a suggestion, to have a special section in the path for them to do that. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
thank you, brother.
Calling. Thanks for calling. Another call. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, good evening, brother.
Good afternoon.
Cecil, first just you and comrade. Greetings, brother, comrade.
Greetings.
Bungo Shaka, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How you doing, man? How you doing? How the family?
All right. By the way, I intend to go to the Africa CARICOM Summit in Addis Ababa.
We're taking I know
that was going to come. The summit is on the 2nd of September. I had to leave a couple of days before. But I'm going to make every effort. And in fact, I urge my colleague heads that a few of us should make the arrangement to go down to Shashamani. They were talking about meeting Caribbean nationals who are living in Ethiopia. I said, yes, but we got to, if you just stay in Addis Ababa and have those who are wrong there, you're only going to have particular sets of CARICOM nationals. But it's a 4-hour journey to go down from Addis Ababa to Shashamani. But I'm going back. I want to go there because I want to see. The last time when I went down Shashamani in 2005, with a few of the other brethren, Rasoti from South Central had take with him
from Greg. Greg.
Yes, well, High Lowman's Lauder's area. Four breadfruit plants, seedlings. One of them died on the journey, and 3 of them were planted down there. So I wanted to see whether the brethren and sisters in Shashamani, just in the area of the tabernacle, whether they took care of them.
Yeah, I hope it big enough that I could climb it.
I hope they were taken care of.
Yeah.
So I just mention. I know by mentioning that, I know a whole heap of brethren and sisters going to shout me up and say, comrade, you're taking me down to Ethiopia. This would be the.
Oh, you take man with some irate man, you know.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
Yeah,
This would be. This would be the third time. This would be the third time. 1, 2, 3. Third or fourth time I would be going to Ethiopia.
Okay, as you mentioned that, it's good that, as you say, all the brethren and CARICOM could go as one group, you know, and so. But I was checking if maybe you could have liaised on with say Rasta brethren and other. You have 1 or 2 other organizations. Some the brethren from the west and liaising with them, and they can arrange, you know, and have some.
Well. There were contacts to make an arrangement for a meeting in Addis Ababa. But I know that some of the brethren and sisterin who live in Shashamani would like to see a couple of us come. Not everybody would have to necessarily go down, because I know not everybody will be able to have the time to take the 4-hour meeting. But I like the drive from Addis Ababa to Shashamani. And of course, I will see brethren whom I know personally who there.
I'm in touch with them regularly.
Yeah.
In touch with Bandy?
Yeah. Up to even this morning.
Oh, well, you must. There's something I had to talk to you about him.
Yes, I know.
So to sort out.
Okay.
Yeah. Even before I go.
Yeah, Bongo Shaka.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So let me make my I will then hail up Pijan and Joel properly and the rest of the list. Yeah. Comrade, I commend the government and taking up the incentive or the initiative of the sport cricket and so on. Okay, in doing that, I'll want to know if there's any level of involvement with the local organization here. Because in many sports,
there's contact with the local cricket association. There's contact contact with the local cricket association. Naturally, and National Sports Council is also involved because the field has to be used and so on. So that those things are going on.
Yeah, because for the sun quarters, one the same, you know, and so on, right? And also about the ferry service, right?
Yes.
Within the Caribbean. It was uttered for a while, but sometimes things get linger. Comrade, I think we really need it. You remember the days of Federal Palmer, Federal Maple? That was integration at that time. The Caribbean people was integrated with each other and groups could have traveled. I always said for years that we need something like that. One coming down from Jamaica, one coming up from Trinidad. Like, for instance, they may have a game in Jamaica. And I know when the boat passes here, it will take 5 days to reach up.
It's a
They
complicated.
gave him a week, and he could go to the island. And every island he stopped, he's spending money because he's going to show and he's meeting new people, new friends. I love to see it happen.
I am supporting it in the way you mentioned, but it's a complicated and expensive business, eh?
Yeah, no, that's why I said that in my first utterance.
Complicated and expensive. And we are there's a serious study which has been done, and we are at the initial stages. And the private sector organization in the Caribbean was involved with it, with some experts from a particular agency, private sector agency. And 3 possible types of craft they're looking at, vessels. One for entirely cargo, taking Suriname, Guyana, Trinidad, maybe up to Barbados even. That's where you have the bulk of the cargo moving. And then there is a ferry, fast ferry service, which will deal really with Barbados, St. Vincent, closer around to the, St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Lucia, and the like. And then there's one which will be both ferry and to take goods, some cargo, and also take vehicles. No. But you can only start one of those at a time. So we need to finalize. Some further discussion is needed. And the sum of money required up front is fairly significant. So we want to look to see what you may require up front and what can be scheduled as the service goes on. And you have to look at
Comrade, when you spoke about the partnership, right? I was clicking in my iRates at the same time. I said, like, you read my iRates there, right? About the private partnership. There's a couple islands in the Caribbean have ferry services. They have owners, maybe.
Bongo Shaka, you got to round up, eh? Other people are waiting to come on.
Yeah, this my last utterance. Yeah, I'm wrapping up.
Well, that other countries, the most ferries, Bongo Shaka,
what was saying,
the most
right?
Bongo Shaka, hold on. The most ferries you have plying is between St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Right. No, what I'm going to tell you is that the owners of ferries, if we have, say, 10 of them, could put in a 5 million each. That's 50 million. So I'm looking at that kind of partnership.
It's easy to call numbers like that.
All right.
It's easy to call numbers like that, but it is so simple.
All right, Bongo Shaka. Next time.
That you work on it. I know you the stone man within CARICOM and try get it done,
All right.
So thanks a lot.
Thanks for
enjoy that. I'm sorry didn't have and Joel, remember tell comrade I chatting with Ethiopia,
All right. All right. Yes, Prime Minister.
And I raised all the issues, and I with Foreign Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Sean Sobers. And then that's on the Sunday. In fact, when Gaston came into the room, I pulled Gaston in the discussion because Gaston is particularly interested in the one with Clico. For the
Prime Minister, can you just hold again? Let me just take this call. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hey, good afternoon. I want to just ask the Prime Minister something. My name is Winston Wynn. He knows me.
Yes, Brother Wynn.
Yes. I see you tomorrow and after that and any other time you could tell me?
Well, you got my number and we could talk about
No,
it.
I don't have your. I don't have
Well,
your
you got my
number.
security number and you got Angie number. I know that. I don't got my diary here with me because I don't want to tell you to come a particular hour, and then when you come, I'm in a meeting. But
that don't be no problem with me.
No. I don't want
you have a business to do.
No. But I don't want you to leave your home to come. I want, but I will tell the fellas.
I understand what you're saying.
I will tell the fellas, Winston.
All right, Winston.
Okay.
Good,
Thank you
fine.
very much.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Good.
Okay.
But on the Monday, when I spoke on the floor of the conference, the heads of government conference, the response by the foreign minister was very constructive. Because he said he had spoken at night to his prime minister, and she wants to have a constructive conversation with us on all the issues which I had raised.
Prime Minister, go on.
Yeah. So I'm going to work at that and take Gaston. I told Gaston I'd like him to come with me because Gaston, I used to be on the Monetary Council in charge of the insurance dimension of this thing. But Camilo is on the Monetary Council since November 2017. And this portfolio was transferred to Gaston. Camilo has something else. So Gaston has been seized of the insurance portfolio and on the Monetary Council since I left.
Paula,
So
are you there?
I'd like to deal with that with him.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have a concern I would like to raise with the Prime Minister.
Go ahead, raise your concern.
I am a home owner, renting 3 apartments to the government for the people from Union Island to live. I borrowed money in order to bring them up to bar so that people can live comfortably.
And they're not paying you on time?
Up to now since March.
Okay. Well, I don't want to ask you your name, but I will just, if you can, tomorrow, drop a note by me. Tell me your name, this is what the issue is, and I will call the people responsible. This is just a bureaucratic problem.
I know the money is sure, but
No, but you need, hey, but comrade, remember this, while the grass is growing somewhere else, the horse is starving. So we got to make sure you get your money.
And I have a second concern. I do subcontract to housing.
Yes.
And we can't pay.
Oh, well, I don't know what is the issue there. And I can, if you mention that too, I could find out.
And I'm losing quality workers because of that.
Well, you will lose workers because if you can't pay workers on time, they'll go elsewhere. Absolutely.
So these are my main concerns.
All right, come on.
All right, so you're going to call and leave a message tomorrow.
Yes.
All right?
All right.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks. I appreciate. Now, with things like these, the one with housing could be a little bit more complicated because other issues can come in, as I know enough. But the fellas, they should make sure that the people get their money on time. But the one for the rental for these places, that's just bureaucratic inertia, really, on the part of those who drive in that.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cecil and the Prime Minister. How are you, my brother?
I'm fine.
Yes.
And this is Step in? Okay.
Yes.
Step in.
Mr. Prime Minister, I was calling the opposition station and telling them, they say, oh, look how Carrico build back and you ain't build back yet. Everything. I said, but Carrico, Grenada have one small island mash up. And you have about 4 to 5.
Listen to me. That is pure stupidness and opportunism and trying to play on people's ignorance. The damage.
Hold on, step in. Hold on.
Damage, I've spoken to this before. The damage done to Carrico was nothing near to what was done to Union Island.
I tell them them that.
Not even close. In fact, Carriacou was not damaged even as much as Myro and Canawan. So that is just bare rubbish they're talking about.
I'm so glad that you put that.
Hold on, step in. Hold on.
Bare, complete and utter rubbish. Take, for instance, the electricity. The electricity was down in Carriacou for just a few days because the damage which was done to their plant was minor. The entire electricity plant was gone, and all the poles in Union Island. So that the airport, the damage which was done to our airport, I mean, compared to what happened in Carriacou, was minuscule. The number of the houses done. So, I mean, they don't, what happened to our hospital, the clinic, the police station? I mean, it's just rubbish they're talking. Rubbish, absolute rubbish. The reason why they're saying that, the people in Union Island are so impressed with the work which we are doing that they're saying to the NDP, they themselves, the people are telling them, we haven't seen it for a long time. Ralph and the government and Chevron and everybody are down here doing the work, and Bragsa and all the various agencies and housing and so forth. And things which we thought will take 5 years, we see they happen already in 1 year. So and if the improvements in Myro, in Canawan, and you will see further improvements unfolding in Union Island. These guys, they are in danger of being completely irrelevant in the Southern Grenadines. They're in danger. I'm not, of course, they have They have traditional support step in, because that's how it has been there. But I'm telling you, the people down there are just fed up with Friday, fed up with Olivier, all of them. So don't let them, don't let them tell you anything to the contrary.
Yes.
All right, step in. Thanks for calling.
Well. I do have one more little thing fast.
Go ahead.
Yes. Oh my God. I forgot.
That's all right, step in.
Yes. But this fella says, what people could lie. I want
all
to
right,
step in.
Step in.
Be trusted, man.
All right, step in. Next
okay, my Prime Minister.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you. You know, I will tell you something.
Prime Minister, the call.
They have another one.
Yes.
Sure.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Yes.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Can you move away from your device that you're listening on and just speak to your phone, please?
Hello.
Are you there?
Yeah, yeah, I guess I have a bad connection.
Well, call again, please. Call again, please. Sounds like Caddy.
All right. Okay,
Caddy, is that Caddy? Oh,
you'll have to call again. Maybe he's listening. He's too close to his device.
Yeah, maybe.
We have another call.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon to you.
A lot of people are asking me, like, cap them for them free to call, like 3-4 things where I drop them and get a comment from the Prime Minister. And some serious thing we could do, put something in Parliament to show your position and then to get together with people lighting fire. I really speak about smoking, lighting fire in villages.
Can you come to please? Can you say what it is you want to ask the Prime Minister?
No, well, so the Prime Minister and for the whole place. Fire in villages with the smoke, and they had to run with the 3 children in the car.
Oh, you're talking about the smoke in the park?
Lighting in village, lighting fire. They need to pass something in Parliament and in corporation to get together with that. They're not supposed to light fire in village as the little children and things.
Well, there existing laws and regulations for those things, you know. I remember.
Yeah, they're a joking, man.
No. Don't say they're joking.
Not police.
Can you listen? Can you listen? Hello. Would you listen and hear the response from the Prime Minister, and then you can come back?
I'm saying there is legislation on the books and also subsidiary regulations on the books. And they have to be policed by public health and the police.
Yeah, but them not.
Why aren't you listening? Why aren't you listening? If you do this again, I'll have to cut the call. Just listen,
my
please.
brother. The first thing which has to be done, a report must be made by anybody who is affected or anybody who sees it to public health or to the police. And I know that they will respond because that has happened in several cases. I know, for instance, when I lived in French's, somebody decided that they were going to burn a coal pit nearby. And I called the police and I called public health. And the matter was dealt with. I wasn't Prime Minister. And since I was Prime Minister, I know that I passed a coal pit where somebody was burning near to where Renwick Rose live. And I know that was causing problems to people in the area. And I called the police. I called the fire brigade, actually, and asked them to go out it, put the hose in it and out it. Because, no, you listen, there are certain things, there are regulations. And if you begin from the standpoint, my brother, that nobody going to do anything about it, and you're therefore not going to report it, well, that's a problem. If you report it and
we report 10, 20 times already. We speak to the
I'm sorry.
I want you to do for me.
I'm sorry.
I want you to do for me something. The case which was in place, which you reported 20 times, I want you to drop a note for me and tell me the person or persons to whom you reported it. Once, twice, down to 20 times. The rough approximate dates when it happened, and I will have it checked out. Because we pass laws, we pass regulations, and there are certain authorities which have to deal with them.
He's not on the line, Prime Minister. I'm sure he's listening.
All right, my brother.
I asked him not to interrupt.
I'm just saying that to you because once I went to my home village and had a town hall meeting, a village meeting, and some persons complained to me about one or two people who were still throwing garbage over the river. And I asked them what they did about it. Why they wait to complain to me? Why they didn't tell the public health people in the area and go and tell the police? Citizens also have to take on their responsibilities. I don't know where somebody burning a fire and humbugging somebody. If it's near to me, I go and call people who I know are responsible and say, listen, there's such a thing taking place there. But I want to use the occasion to tell people again, we have to be good neighbors and you have to be considerate with other people. You could burn a coal pit a mountain, but you can't burn a coal pit in a residential area. You can't be burning garbage in an entirely uncontrolled manner. You just light the garbage and you go on and shut up in your house and leave people to deal with that. These are things which have to be addressed with care and concern for your neighbors. It's a fundamental thing about life and living. Mm-hmm. Good neighborliness.
We have no call right now, but Prime Minister, just to draw to your attention, somebody's saying, we have a call. I have to go to the call. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Sounds like Caddy again.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Caddy.
All right.
Yes. I just called to my Prime Minister because I know he's into cricket and steel fan. So there's only two things I want to talk about. I want a little comment on South Rivers
And the cricket, they are the champions in the school, the cricket school. And then the PAN coming up, I think they're fourth in whatever the country, in whatever the country.
Yes.
Or the place
Now,
fourth, I think. The place fourth, yeah. In junior panorama, in the schools, junior panorama. So the school plays fourth, yeah. So he wants a comment on those two things.
Yeah, well, I am.
And one more thing. I know with PAN, with Samuel or or whatever, they were number one at one point. So, and they didn't even compete this time. What is it? Is it politics? Because
No.
It's a senior band.
I know something like Bramble.
No. Let's not hear me.
There's no politics in that. There's no politics in that.
In fact, the community band participated.
Yeah. So there's no politics in that. Now, in relation to...
He's gone.
Okay.
He's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
I will answer nevertheless.
Yes.
Yes. I spoke to Rosalind Johnny, who is the principal of the school, the primary school in South Rivers. And I told her I want to have, after the carnival season is over, I want to get the boys and their teachers who won the cricket competition, and to get those also from OWEA similarly, to bring them up at Goss, and I want to have a little picnic with them, one day, because when they were playing the game, it was impossible for me to be there at the cricket field in South Rivers. The second thing in relation to the PAN, we need, we're seeking to acquire some additional PANs. They need some new PANs. But South Rivers is one of the few schools, primary schools, which still maintaining, they're playing the steel band. That's what I will say with both of those things, what Kelly raised. Now, I really enjoy having the children them come by me up in Goss. I mean, before the common entrance, for instance, I had the people the students and teachers from Georgetown, 50-something of them who are going to write common entrance, come. We've spent a day there together. Then I had Connery, Park Hill, South Rivers come together because those numbers are relatively small. And when I went by her, and I told the principal that I'd like to have them to come, she said she wants the whole school. So I had to take the whole school, 150 of them and the teachers, to Black Point. But the students did very, very well. All the schools in North Central this year, some better than others naturally because you have unevenness, but they did pretty well. And on Friday, your and John and Kadir Ned came by me because they're organizing. I spoke to them about that too because they involved with the young John is a national scholar, a national exhibition winner, and he's going off to study shortly. And Kadir is a teacher at North Union, play cricket and the like. The same thing, but they're organizing, starting next week, a tournament in South Rivers. They have, I think, 11 teams from the neighboring communities. One actually is coming all the way from North Leeward. And there's a group, they're not only doing it for young males, but also for females. So they're going to have several weeks. And this is local leadership, you know. This is one of the things which I always seek to encourage. And the local leadership mobilizes these things. You want my support, you come to me, we work out things, tell me how much the thing going to cost, we raise it, we raise the money. And you will notice, we do these things all the time. And this is a significant one. But you never see my name or anybody's name attached to them. I don't not because you could be doing things. You have vanity and attach your name to it.
PM, I want to go to the line now.
It's an important point that because politicians can so easily abuse things. Yes.
Hi, Coach O. Greetings. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, I called just to give congratulatory messages to Ravi Paul. Well put together, Carnival. I know a lot of people might want to not certain things, but it is well done. For brother to take over that Carnival in such a short space of time and do that work, I have to give him plenty congratulations and plenty commendation.
All right.
Well put together, Carnival.
So you're going to bring up a larger crowd next year to Vinci Mas?
Yeah, we will do that.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
The only other point I want to make, I think this time we need, after I do Carnival in schools out there, and I think it needs to be done here. We need building Carnival costume, designing and all that kind of stuff. I think we need to have that in the schools now. So then the older brothers and them, let's take it down chilling, and we're going to probably lose a couple more soon and later. So we need to get these schools, people getting into the designing of costumes and building costumes. Because one thing to design is you have to know how to build it too. Because you can put something on paper if you don't know how to execute it, so make it what it look like on the stage is something else. So we need to start teaching that thing about art and skills. And that's all I have to say for the morning.
Okay, thanks for calling.
All right.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, Coach.
Yeah, I want to mention additionally, Cecil. That other person's gone. Yes, sorry.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Yes, thank you. Hold on. Yes. I have a concern. And my concern is about these carnival costumes that they have thrown all over the place. Those things take a lot of time to put them together. A lot of sleepless nights. Why don't we have a place where we can exhibit these costumes so that people could come and look at them, pay a little contribution to go in and see them, and let the carnival organization collect some funds from that particular thing?
Let me ask you something.
Put them all over the place.
Let me ask you something. Which costumes have been thrown around all the place?
Well, I don't know. I hear people complaining about costumes.
No. I'm asking because, there are costumes and there are costumes. There are the big costumes, King and Queen of the bands, and particularly distinctive costumes which are designed and so on. I don't know if anybody would throw them along the road. I don't know. I'm not disputing your point about if you can get somewhere. The question is to the size of the building to have these costumes being displayed and so on. But so that's why I asked the question, because I hadn't heard about that. I would expect that some of the other kind of masquerading things which are of a flimsier nature.
Headpieces,
when the masquerader is fed up with it or something of the sort, or some of these beads and feathers may find themselves. That's why I asked, because I wasn't so sure.
Okay.
Joel,
I don't know.
Joel, you may the size of a place you're going to require for the display is going to be significant. If you're going to have all the kings and queens of the bands, you know what I mean, Joel, in one place for which it could accommodate. But it's lots of things to be done. The question as to whether the resources are there to do all of them.
But it is also the nature of the animal, the nature of the festival. As in nature, flowers bloom, then they die.
The thing is though that for the King Queen bands they keep the frames.
Yes.
They reuse the frames.
Yes.
But then at Carnival Tree they don't pay much attention to what has happened to the decorations and things like that and so forth. But if there could be around at least 3 or 4 more days a week after in some particular area, if they can survive that and the tourists and so on can go and take pictures and so on.
Yeah.
We have to put up Prime Minister because I hope you remember you have to attend this funeral.
Yeah, I have to attend the funeral.
Can we take one more question?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Take the last.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very
thanks
much
for calling. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Good afternoon. Okay, well, there you go. I didn't realize the other caller was.
I'm concerned because these.
We have one WhatsApp question here, Prime Minister. Well, 2 questions. Do you have an update on the tuition scholarships?
No, I anticipate that for the applications for the tuition and from the preliminary numbers, for the tuition and for the 50 Monroe scholarships, the numbers would reach maybe close to 3,500 this year. I noticed Joel opened his eyes. Last year, we got over 2,000 tuition scholars applications. And I said, give everybody. Because once you have your matriculation qualifications, I suspect that some of those people might have applied for tuition scholarships for maybe a 3-month course somewhere. Maybe if you apply for a tuition scholarship to do an associate degree in something which can be done at the community college, but you want to do it somewhere else overseas, you may have a... But certainly, the numbers are growing massively. So they will have to sift those to see whether they had to do the same thing last year. But they had over 2,000 eventually. We extended the deadline from the end of June to the 11th till Friday, gone. Because, even the persons who have 2 months, there are people who will still tell you they don't know that there were tuition scholarships being offered. Can you imagine that, Gerard?
PM, somebody who knows, who has the information, says that you said it was 50, but the person saying it's 75.
Okay, 75, yes, that's true.
And this person knows.
Yes, it's fine.
Okay.
Yes. That's for the Monroe.
Monroe. She has asked me to.
That's true. Yes, it's 75 now. She's quite right. We increased them. We did the agreement with Monroe to increase them. Yes.
We have a number of calls coming.
But it's but
that's all right. I'll take the calls.
But I tell you this.
I'll take the calls quickly, PM, because people have been calling. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Yes, good afternoon. I have an issue I want to raise with the PM concerning a fire. Destroyed my house in April, and I was trying to get on to you for the longest while.
Well, easy to get on to. You left the report by me?
I left the report, my number on the report.
Just go on to the concern, please.
By me?
Yes, by your front desk.
And did you follow up? Did you follow up?
No, I didn't follow up.
You need to follow up, brethren. No, you need to follow up. You need to follow up.
Okay, because you were flying out at the same time.
Let me explain something. In any day, there'll be hundreds of issues lodged at my office.
Okay.
And I have a very good staff. But sometimes they may not get back to you on something, but just follow up. But
all right. Well, I'll be there this week then.
All right then.
Thanks for calling.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
And I urge that generally. I mean, on my phone, for instance, Cecil, between 4 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock, I'll have 100 and something text messages and 100 and something telephone calls.
I only have two quick issues to raise. This person is still asking whether or not the port is still on schedule for completion next month.
Well, they had said that they will probably go over, well, towards the end of August. Yes. That's as far as I know as of now.
Mm-hmm. And this person is on my phone is saying that at the Cedars Junction where the doctor's house has been built.
Yes.
She's pleading for a bus stop. She's saying people saying they will not vote for Stevenson because of the absence of a bus stop.
I mean, this is what I don't permit me to speak on this.
Mm-hmm.
There are multiplicity of things which are being done. You may have a bee in your bonnet about a bus stop. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't get the bus stop. The people, for instance, at if you notice at Diamond, you notice they have a bus stop there now. And they really wanted one before. You notice that bus stop was not simply a bus stop in Diamond. That you had to do a complete road realignment. Because sometimes not only just a bus stop. But let us assume that the bus stop should be there. And I'm not denying that there's that need. The same person would say that inside of their home, they have their children at university getting free university education. Another one at community college. But why do we have to say this thing? Because you don't get a bus stop, despite all what the government has done. You're going to vote. So that unless everything which you have in your head to be satisfied is not satisfied, you'll stay home and vote. And you ignore everything else what has happened. I mean, is this rational?
Mm-hmm.
How can sensible democratic governance of quality continue with that particular mindset?
I think
there are always things to be done. And we have to be careful that when we come into the issue of vote, we measure satisfactions and dissatisfactions. Because you're always going to have some dissatisfaction. And that dissatisfaction may not be continued, may not be related to government. You may have some with government. You may have some with your husband. You have some with your wife. You have some with your children. So if your child disappoints you on something, you will abandon your child, despite all the good that the child has done. Or the child abandon the parent. We have to deal with these things maturely. Maybe because I've been in this thing so long, and because of my age and my wisdom, I can speak like this when other political leaders would be afraid to speak like this. Because if you have a track record, Joel, of doing things, the airport is just down the road in the same constituency.
Mm-hmm.
The person who may not want to vote because the bus has been there, maybe their husband or their daughter, or they themselves working at the airport, The airport is bringing in business in which they work in somewhere else, They may be leaving there and going to Sandals. Come on. I'm not saying that the bus stop should not be built. Universal secondary education is there and it's improving all the time. We just talked about maybe 3,500 persons may apply for tuition scholarships. The numbers persons have told me. More than likely, some family member will have one.
Mm-hmm.
It's thousands of dollars you'll be saving annually thousands upon thousands of dollars to give you a profession, you wouldn't consider voting because you don't get a bus stop. Come on.
Any other move? Yeah, Prime Minister.
No. And it is. We have to all be very responsible. And why persons talking about that? There are 5 major existential issues in the world, which we also have to have our input in dealing with. We have to work in a way so that our voices are heard, that we don't have nuclear Armageddon. We have to work in relation to the climate change crisis. We have to work with other countries all over the world to make sure that we don't see the pathogens, the public health disasters as we had with COVID. Then there's the issue of bioterror or bioerror, which is related to that too. There's the matter of, are we going to have artificial intelligence controlling human beings or human beings controlling the robots? And the same person who may talk about the vote for a bus stop, next week or 2 weeks time, we get in thousands of laptops where the child might be going to a secondary school. Going to fifth form or going to community college, and they get one. We have to put things, and the length of time sometimes the public servants take to design, the relevant technical people take to design a bus stop, is something else too. And sometimes they over-design them, and so on and so forth. So let us, if you hear me on this, and you feel offended the way I speak on this, come by me and let me sit down and talk and have a cup of coffee. When you simmer down a little bit and this thing can be put within the proper context of all. I went from national to all these huge existential things. Who I represent you with them? All right.
All right, Prime Minister. That's about it for today.
Thanks.
And as usual,
I'm very happy that I
yes. Thank you very much again.
Thanks.
All right. And with that, we're going to sign out because we have gone beyond our time limit. So just want to remind persons that next week, the second half of next week's program would be devoted to a tribute to our dear departed brother, Bentley Brown. So in the meantime, my name is Cecil Ryan on behalf of our guest Prime Minister and of course, Pijan and Joel Kiran. Good afternoon.